clusterfuck.
It's been a complete... I don't know what's...
A clusterfuck of Cronenberg proportions.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of Cronenberg going on here. just, I'm like sitting here and I'm going like, yeah, fucking kidding me? What is going on? You know, it's as if my computer's just rebelled. I had to. The reason we got, for those of you who are hopefully watching, we are part of the reason we're using this, like, the output looks a little jankier than usual, is because I had to use the primary computer, which I usually don't use for streaming, and quickly set everything up because I don't know what happened to the other one. It just died. Like,
not the filming with a potato was going to be a problem.
Oh yeah, no. Like, my secondary computer turned into, like, it just completely potatoed out. You know,
yeah,
it was just bad. Let me double check to make sure we're actually, like, streaming, because I can't see the chat just yet, and I want to make sure that things are okay. God, this stuttering. God damn it.
Oh dear.
Yeah. It's one of those things where, like, for some reason, like, this computer doesn't. Okay, so we got all right. So that's good. For some reason, this computer stutters a bit more. I don't know why. You know, because it's a way more powerful machine, and we should be getting a much better image at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, man, it's just been one of those days. I've been having a time. I have been having a time.
Cheers to that.
Yeah, cheers. Well, like, I feel like I should be over it by now, but I'm not. Which is the whole like fucking the whole political climate right now. I just fucking hate it. I just fucking hate everybody. The only thing that's giving me, like, a fair degree of joy is that the alt-right is slowly destroying itself. You know, and I hope...
Ouroboros, it consumes its own.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that it never gets its shit together. It just gets completely devoured, you know?
Yep.
Because I've never been... It's been quite some time, not in memory, that I can remember, like, fucking hating people so fucking much. You know? And just going,
one
like...
those days where you feel like being a hermit is actually a pretty good life option.
Yeah. Last time, like, how to put it, like, during the Bush administration, I just went under a rock. You know? Not, you know, it wasn't a bad rock. I gotta be honest. You know, it was a journey of self-discovery. You know, but at the end of the fucking day, I hated it. And so I came out of the rock and I was like, okay, everything looks okay. Things started to be all right. And now it's like, nope.
Like a big old slicked glove shoving itself up your ass. It's like,
yeah,
nope.
Exactly. Yeah.
Actually, not even slicked up, just going in dry, no lube.
Yeah. Just going in dry.
I don't like what politics feels like right now.
It does. It really does. It really, really feels like complete crap. And, you know, it just... Yeah, no way. Oh, God, we're broadcasting, but I'm not seeing any chat room. Ah, boy.
Give it time. It'll just come up.
I hope so. Like, it's kind of like, okay, I see you too, dear.
It's just very quiet.
It's just very quiet? Oh, jeez.
It's okay. You're gathering people.
Oh.
They're coming in now.
Oh, 3 viewers. Yay.
You're up to 9.
It's mine says 3.
Well, yours is sluggish.
Oh, God. Like, I don't know what Stream OBS fucking did, but I'm at the point where I'm blaming it. Because no matter what I do, it's just like, yeah, just drop frames. And I'm like, we're a 5% CPU. How can we have drop frames? And it's just like, we just do. We just do. We just have drop frames. It just, I'm looking at that little counter go up. And so Stream OBS, you done fucked it up. I don't know what you did. You done fucked it up. We get like no drop frames before. And now it's like, yeah, 210 just since we restarted. 210. Given that we are streaming at like, I believe 30 frames a second, that's a lot of drop frames.
Yeah.
That's like 7 seconds missing. I just
about OBS is that recently the Chatterbait has incorporated that into their streaming.
OBS?
So, yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So, but
I haven't tried it myself, but I've heard about that. I'm like, oh, that might be interesting.
Huh.
But I mean, we wouldn't have Twitch, honestly, if it wasn't for like cam girls. So.
Oh no shit, right?
Yeah.
Like no shit. Yeah, everyone's like, oh, it's all about esports over here. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, can we go back to the titty streamers? Because I really don't give two shits about esports. Like, I care about esports about as much as I care about real sports, which is to say, if I'm not playing, I don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, I've never understood. I don't understand that type of team mentality. Like,
at least with the titty streamers, you got what you came for.
Oh yeah. It's like it's really weird, It's really weird to me because ever since I was a kid, I tried getting into sports, but I just didn't care. The only sport I ever actually kind of liked was soccer, and that's just not. Even as like a 7-year-old kid, soccer is not important to the United States. Yep. Nobody cares, and And I wasn't like a super athletic kid either. I didn't suck, but I wasn't great.
Yeah.
And they only really
the only
cared
thing I enjoyed watching for sports was like martial arts and the like.
Well, martial arts is a completely different beast.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I watch enough of my action movies.
Yeah, I watched like the sport that I mainly watched wasn't really a sport, which was wrestling. Because
can't believe you say that too.
Yeah, I know, right? Is it a sport? No, it's entertainment. It's stunt entertainment.
Yeah, pretty much.
And with that said, I kind of liked it. You were always I like
how porn is basically a sexual performance, not really real sex.
Yeah. It was sort of like, and I kind of liked it on that same level. Like there's that level of voyeurism, because one of the things I always kind of liked about like 80s wrestling is you knew it was fake. Like you knew, or in the words of Goldberg, it's not fake, it's predetermined. You know, there's a script.
I come up to your door and like open up the pizza box and have his dick through it right there.
Yeah.
Although it would be kind of a surprise, and then I'll probably call him in for sexual harassment. So. Well,
yeah, because that's one of those. You gotta. When it comes to sex, it's vampire rules. You don't go in unless you're invited.
I like that. Yeah.
You gotta use.
Or what was the other one? If Satan needs your permission to enter your body, so do you.
So do you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Because like all right. So for those of us just joining in, we are chatting. Yeah. Well, now there's over 12, so that's yay! We're chatting with Ms. Savage Monstress, who is a
Monstrous Savage.
Monstrous Savage. Sorry, I keep thinking that it's the other way around. who is a cam girl, and we're going to be talking about her life and what she does, and
specifically, I'm a dominatrix.
Yeah, which I thought was kind
cam girls are a little bit different, so
yeah. Cam girl,
some doms do camming.
Yeah. Okay, so is there considered to be a difference within the, I guess you would call it, the industry itself?
Well, I mean, all of us pretty much pertain to like sexual entertainment. A lot of the cam girls are kind of more into vanillas, kind of more, girl next door interacting and stuff like that. Whereas I haven't really done a lot of camming as I'm a dom so much, but usually, yeah, it's often kind of on that same.
Oh, okay. So so what you're saying is you're not like, you don't necessarily perform online, like.
No, I'm
you
actually
have a
more
setup.
in person.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I've actually been trying to do pro domination for the last little while myself, so.
Do you have a space that you rent out for the activity, or is it?
Yeah, I'm going to be sharing a space with another dom who owns one, so we'll just be like sharing that time.
Oh, okay. You like splitting the rent, so it's like an art studio.
Yeah, exactly. Or it's like paid by the hour. And I would have the clients like make a deposit, in which that deposit will go towards paying for that hour. So.
Ooh.
So
I like that. I like that. That's smart. Oh man, I don't know if I.
Yeah, because I mean, this sort of work, even though you would think, oh, you can make lots of money. Yeah, you get a lot of freeloaders and a lot of like flakes. So,
if you
want to make sure that they're going to come in for it, you gotta like put money on the table.
Oh yeah, and as any cam girl will tell you, you gotta. How to put it? The cam girls who do really well are the ones who are very nice to the freeloaders.
Yeah.
You have to be nice to the freeloaders. You can't be mean, But then again, when you're on cam, there's already there's an automatic paywall. So if you didn't give money first, if you didn't put down the deposit first, then you just don't. You got to give the man at the door $5 or he won't let you in.
And as a dominator, it kind of works a bit better if you kind of putting up that wall in the first place. It's like you either pay me first or I'm not going to fucking talk to you.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of guys out there who probably come in and be like, oh, hey, how you doing? Or, try to talk you up and try to get information out of you, or even, try to get all this stuff for the spank bank and not pay you a cent. And it's just like, fuck that noise.
Yeah. It's one of those things where it's like you got to figure out how to advertise the service without, giving too much away.
Yeah, it's kind of a balance right now, especially with online and a lot of changes online regarding commerce and sex and stuff like that. Just it's a clusterfuck right now. So. Yeah.
I heard something like PayPal will drop you.
Oh yeah, people have lost their accounts. Actually, Patreon has been having issues because somebody with a lot of money basically is given some donations to Patreon, and now they kind of hold a lot of shareholders, and they're just like, you know what, we want you to get rid of the porn.
Who is that?
I'm not too sure. I just heard that there was basically somebody higher up who's basically now having Patreon a bit of a short leash, and this is why a lot of cam girls and such are actually losing their accounts on Patreon.
Oh.
So any sort of means of making money online, it's like they're really trying to get rid of it. It's this whole gentrification of the internet.
Yeah, I know, but it's really upsetting because it's like no. Don't make it go to the dark web, man. No one wants those days back. No one wants those days back.
The cam girls and the cosplay and stuff like that, they make 30% of Patreon's profit.
I know.
That's a huge chunk of change.
Yeah, it's a huge amount of money. Especially if it's just sort of like, look, as long as it's just online and we're not fucking dealing with your, face-to-face transaction, or, we have
you're not dealing with anything illegal.
Yeah, and we got some plausible deniability here. You just let it pretty much you got to let it ride, because one of the problems, you see this on Twitter a lot, and in YouTube and Twitter are dealt with this, and it just always blows up in your face, which is, look, the minute you start silencing some people on platforms like this, you have created a problem. And and the thing is everyone thinks, well, we have to silence these type of people. And I'm like, that would be great if it worked that way, but it doesn't. That's not the way things work. And the thing is about stuff
like that is that the sex workers are always the first one to be hit. Yeah. But most of the time people don't pay attention to that, because it's like, why do I
pay attention to that? I pay attention to that because I like to know which way the wind's blowing.
Do I have to give a care that some rich bitch is not going to get her Gucci bag? Where it's like, no, that's not like that at all. But most people don't pay attention unless it comes to their front door. So
yeah. And my favorite one was like, okay, now the sex is gone. I'm like, okay, so is it the person or is it the nudity? This is a very important distinction, because if it's the nudity, that's one thing. If it's, well, we don't want to be, involved in it, it's like, uh-oh, now we got problems. Because it was like, okay, so when YouTube went through its whole Adpocalypse, it's like, we're getting rid of white supremacy. And I'm like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
I know what you're going to get rid of. You're going to get rid of controversial topics that Nazis hate, because those are the ones that they fucking spam. So all gay people are now gone. And LBT is gone.
Same exact shit that's been happening with the sex workers too, because it will affect the LGBT community, it'll affect people of color, and anybody that basically rich white supremacists don't like. That's exactly what it is. People tend to think that like the white supremacists are like these poor white trash. It's actually the people. Yeah, it's actually the billionaires and shit like that you should worry about, because they're the ones who's putting money into places.
Well, yeah, the minute there was this whole like, well, the advertisers just want more controls, and I'm like, don't give it to them.
No.
Don't ever give it to them. Once the advertisers can have some sort of control on the entertainment, it goes conservative, and it goes conservative hard.
Oh, it does.
It always does.
Because they're the ones with the money.
Yeah.
They're the ones with deep pockets.
Yeah. Because they're the ones who want the control. Conservative people want more control. And
I've actually had referenced your conversations in other streams to other people when I was talking about this stuff happening with sex work and everything like that, where basically old media is trying to control the digital media, because if they don't, they're obsolete.
Yeah. They really don't want to deal with the new media. The problem is, it's basically too late. Like, it's way too fucking late. All they can try to do is make alternate media illegal. And it's like, ooh, no. That's
too late, man. The Pandora's box has been opened, so.
Yeah. It's been opened. Forget it. You just have to deal with it. Because like America's situation right now with its internet, that is a great example of why you don't protect a dying industry.
Adapt or die.
Yeah, because, okay, why Comcast, great example. Like, why do places like Comcast have such a stranglehold on internet providers? And it's like, oh, it's because the government gave them millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Because they were all saying that the industry was going to die if they didn't. And so they gave them all that money. And what they did with all that money is they stopped fiber optic development. They stonewalled it. With that money, and with the leftover, they fucking gave themselves raises. That's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. Like,
and it's one of the telecommunications was bad, but just holy shit.
No.
America's awful.
Oh, it's super bad. Like, well, it's one of the things that's really upsetting. It's one of the things that continues to be upsetting, which is, as bad as people think it is, it's worse. You have no fucking idea, like, how bad it truly gets. And the answer is, hey, man, it's capitalism. When one thing capitalism does really good, it innovates. And so every time you think you've reached the bottom, they find a new way. They find a fucking way to make it worse.
With that whole bit, like I was talking about, the FOSTA and SESTA law that was released, for those of you who don't know, basically it means that any sort of website or social media that is found to be harboring activity relating to human trafficking will be charged. Yeah,
and that's the thing that's really, really, really annoying is that phrase, human trafficking, is actually extremely deceptive. Yeah. You think it means people who are being kidnapped and forced into sexual slavery, but it actually includes all sex work.
Yeah.
That's considered human trafficking.
The entirety thing of
camgirling, that's human trafficking.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It all goes back to, like, I think I recall one historian talking about it. It was like white slave panic. That was like early 19th century.
Oh, yeah.
Like after segregation, people were worried about, black men coming in and taking their
and Chinese
white
people.
daughters across. Yeah. And taking them across the lines. And like, holy fuck. I mean, there's a whole subgenre in Grindhouse involving like white slavery.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it's a really deceptive. And the thing is, though, is that considering all the different types of trafficking out there, the worst amount of human trafficking is labor. It has nothing to do with sex work. In fact, I think one of my most hilarious stories I've read about is hilarious in terms of irony, basically, was some talking about NGOs in Cambodia trying to rescue these sex workers and putting them into regular jobs like textiles and clothing mills, which a lot of these women were going into sex work to get away from.
Yeah, but don't you see? That benefits the first world.
Right?
Yeah.
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 It's like,
you can't how to put it.
It's bad. This is all terrible exploitation. At least we exploit you first.
Yeah, we exploit you first. And for industries that already exist, we can't fund the sex industry, because if you look at it historically, why don't you do that? Because the minute you do that, women start to be in control of shit. Just flat out. Just flat the fuck out.
Any sort of femdom related event, you cannot pull shit on any of those women.
No. The
minute you do, you're just taken down a peg.
Yeah, and it's crazy because you find yourself going like, okay, so first of all, let's get rid of the myth that women would do a better job. Women are just as scummy as men. However,
I've seen a few of those.
Yeah.
Yes.
However, with that said, let's not pretend if we can't pretend that ethics are any sort of fucking bar to entry when it comes to being in charge of shit, there is no reason to put that barrier up.
Yeah.
There's no reason. It's ridiculous. It's like, okay, so why don't you like these people being in charge? Huh. Well, this is what they always say, but seems to be the reality is that once you give women financial independence, they start to want things to change.
Yeah.
Which, yeah.
And
fucking,
for
of course.
much of centuries, men are so used to getting things just handed to them that the fact that the
it's
audacity
crazy
for women for asking for money for their time and effort, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, it's absolutely fucking nuts. Like, Kavanaugh, great example. I'm just looking at this guy fucking behave. Dude, did you know, I have never heard of this, but apparently you can impeach a Supreme Court justice.
Really?
Yes. There's a way to do it, and it's begun.
Good.
Yeah. And I'm like, wait, you mean they're looking into it? They're like, no, it's begun. It's a much less sexy proceeding, so no one is covering it because it's like, well, what are the chances of them winning? Very, very, very slight. But the thing that is like the most amazing is that the people who are going against him is like the Ninth Circuit. Like, I'm like, wait, can you do that? Can the fucking Ninth Circuit go, that guy on the Supreme Court, we want him gone. We're going to bring a case. So I'm like, wait, the Ninth Circuit's going to bring a case, try to bring a case against the Supreme Court? Whoa.
Excuse me for saying it, but I think I'm trying to recall what exactly is the Ninth Circuit you were talking about? Because
that's like the one down from the Supreme Court.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So basically, the place Kavanaugh came from. They're all like, no, get this guy out of here. And it's one of those things where I'm like, you people were okay with like Scalia. You people were okay with fucking a Bork. Kavanaugh is too much.
Stuff. Like,
oh my God. Yeah. Like, well, it's one of those things where it's like, it's really obvious. They're like, oh no, if you're going to be on the Supreme Court, we are not making it easy for you. We are just going to fuck with your shit every which way we can because fuck you. And I'm like, I'm looking at this and I'm like, oh,
which makes me wonder if there's actually a lot more that was not being said.
Oh, I guarantee there was.
Yeah.
Like, let me put it this way. Rape is just gonna be the tip of the fucking iceberg. Yeah. It's gonna be the tip of the cock on this one. You're gonna find out. No, you're gonna find out that this guy's like funnels money to like Germany first and shit.
All sorts of things.
Yeah, all sorts of really shady things, like probably foreign governments, nationalist movements. I almost guarantee it. You're gonna find some really, really, really evil shit, and because it's got to be something that everyone knows is happening, but no one can prove.
Yeah,
it has to be. But it has to be one of those things where it's like, can't fucking have that guy on the fucking Supreme Court. He was hired by the KGB. It's gotta be something like that because
something really,
I had never fucking heard of the judicial branch bringing a case against itself.
Yeah.
That's huge. And it's not being very widely covered because everyone's like, oh, well, he's just in the Supreme Court right now. Well, the problem is this. Well, here's the thing. The court of public opinion actually does not matter in this case. It doesn't matter in this case. This is one of the few times it doesn't matter at all. So if they really want to get rid of him, all they have to have is enough people on their side, and that's it. And then they've won. And then he's gone. And I'm like, I didn't even know that was possible. And I look into it and like my legal friends are like, oh yeah, it's possible. It's been tried several times. It doesn't tend to work.
Mm-hmm.
But we've also never really, it definitely hasn't happened in like recent memory.
Yeah.
Presidential impeachments are a lot more common.
Yep. And speaking when you're talking about shady things, I was bringing up FOSTA and SESTA because one of the things I looked up that was actually a little bit freaky was one of the biggest financial backings of it was the MPAA.
The MPAA. Yeah, sounds about right.
Because the first thing I look at that, it's like, well, if this is working out and trying to get rid of the sex work, can you imagine them passing another law similarly and saying like, oh yeah, this website's not going to be charged for copyright infringement.
Yeah.
All the things people upload movies and shit like that. And so that's where I see stuff like that, where people just putting their hands in the pie, so to speak, and see like how far they could take it.
Well, it's really weird because when it comes to shit like this, and this is where it gets terrifying. This is where it gets scary. When you get into shit like this, money doesn't matter anymore. And that's what's terrifying. Like your money ain't if you're like, when you get into an atmosphere like this, you're a sex worker, your money's no good. It's no good in this fight, you know, and it's really, really, really insane. Like, have you ever, I love reading like histories of like whorehouse madams and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I don't know how to put it, but there's some amazing shady shit that gets pulled.
Oh, yeah.
And some of it's just fan fucking tastic. Like one of my favorite stories is actually about Marie Laveau, which a lot of people was like, well, was she really a whorehouse? Yes. That
That's not
woman,
the same character from American Horror Story.
Yeah, they a lot. Right. Every time you talk about Louisiana voodoo, Marie Laveau come up. Okay. And that's because she was like the grandma, the great mambo of fucking New Orleans, and she had her fingers in everything, and she was next fucking level. My favorite story, a couple of my favorite stories about her. One, she had a daughter she didn't tell anyone about. Or rather, everyone had met the daughter, but they had thought it was her because she wanted to start the rumor that she was immortal. And so she had her daughter pose as her, and I think actually even gave her own name, the same name.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
That's great.
And they would show up in opposite parts of the city to give the idea that she was everywhere. She would also, if someone came up to her, and because she was like a whorehouse madam, she knew a ton of secrets.
Oh, of course.
And, you know, if someone came up to her and was like, I need, you know, my boy's going to court. He's going to go to prison. She's like, I might could do something about that. And she would just show up in the galley and just sit there and look at the judge and sit back. All of a sudden, things would start going her way. She would show up places with a voodoo doll. You know, just...
See, that's goals right there.
Yeah.
Just to sit somewhere, just not really doing anything, but just have people going, oh, shit, it's her.
Yeah. Another great tale of whoredom is the Seattle Seamstress Union.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. So, Seamstress Union. Strangely enough, didn't have a single sewing machine.
Of course.
Because it's actually a brothel. With a front.
Of course.
And everyone knows. This was everyone knows. But when the federal government starts poking around, that's when they put all the girls in the front with like the linen that they just don't do anything with.
Yeah.
Oh yes, look, everyone's working. Taxman gone, taxman's gone. Girls, get back to work. You know, and that was run by a woman.
Yeah.
You know, that whole operation, and it's amazingly incredible. You know, I
think one of my favorite ones is actually the one locally here in Vancouver that was like called the Red Umbrella Parade or something like that. It was like this, basically it was this early days of Vancouver when it was still like loggers and miners and stuff like that. The people who were actually making the most money was actually at brothels. They were actually making more than the government.
Yeah. But because it turns out if you can just give girls a fucking, you know, some bucks for a couple hours.
Not to mention you got like a whole bunch of men who aren't there with their wives or their girlfriends or anything like that, and they're just like horny as fuck. And so, So, but at one point the government was like low on money, so they just started like taxing these girls, and they would just go be like, all right, well, we'll just go up to City Hall and go pay it. And eventually it's become so recurring that like this particular day of the week or the month or something like that, like all these girls would just go all at once to City Hall to pay these fines. And it eventually became kind of a spectacle of its own, because some people just like, oh, let's put on our Sunday best, go up there, pay your fines, and it's almost like become a little bit of a parade.
Yeah,
and
it's like a little ritual.
Yeah, and legend says that some of these girls actually made back their money because of all the guys that were like watching them during this little parade.
Yeah. Like, hey, that's the frontier.
Yep.
You know?
And then the Commonwealth train run by, and then all the wives came in and we were like, we can't have these girls around here.
Yep. They're supposed to be spending the money on us.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Which I do see a lot of like where that kind of intersection between like sex workers and their tensions between them and feminists. Oh, it's nasty.
Oh, yeah. Because never... Let us be clear. One of the things about modern Western feminism, it's just like the economy of the West. It's all based around property rights. When you really get down to it, like when you break it all the way fucking down, it's basically about property rights, and which is, as I said before, well, yeah, why not? Mm-hmm. But
and women, for women's sex is like one of the few keys of power that they have.
Oh, it's a massive key. That key. That is, and
that's what they use as their bargaining chip half the time. And then they see someone who's just like, she's just giving away for money. What the fuck is this?
Yeah.
So they think it's like sex workers are making it harder on them.
Yeah. So never. I keep telling people, like, never get it twisted. You know, like if you want, one of the biggest problems that sex workers and feminism have, conservative women.
Yeah.
It always comes down to that. That's always the final nail. That's always the last nail in the coffin.
It is.
Every fucking time feminism becomes a non-issue, it's a woman who puts the last nail in the coffin. Always is.
Yep.
And I'm calling it. This last round is Phyllis Schlafly. This round, Sen Collins. The bitch gotta go.
Oh yeah.
Bitch gotta go. Because I'm like, wow, you just deliberately, you were like, hey, we're trying to go back to the 80s, or maybe the 70s even.
I'm thinking 60s, honestly, at this rate.
I'm thinking actually probably more like 50s. You know? And so she's like, okay, Kavanaugh's in. He'll bring the 50s back.
Sounds like she kind of did it for spite.
What?
Did she do it for spite? Like just saying like fuck you or something?
I have no idea. Well, no, Senator Collins is an evil twat. Yeah. She's just evil. Like she's really super fucking nasty. You know, fuck Hillary Clinton. Like you think Hillary Clinton's nasty? No, Senator Collins is way fucking worse. You know, don't. Like everyone, because here's the thing. Oh, is that a kitten?
I have 2 cats, so yeah, they'll make themselves known.
Oh, kitty. No, we don't know our kitty. But yeah, so I'm just, dealing with a lot of that shit in my own head. And even in my head, as a guy, I'm like, I hate you.
Yeah. Like, and just kind of going back to that historical bit too, especially with like a lot of Western feminism was based off of the the Prudence movement or the Prohibition movement. A lot of those women involved in there also like are the ones who paved way for like making alcohol illegal and stuff like that, because it's like, well, it's going to make men drunk and abuse their wives and shit like that. And it's like, yeah. So basically, conservative women make things ruin fun.
Yeah, they ruin fun. Yeah, like
they really do.
Yeah, and which I think is really fucking hilarious, considering how feminism, at least in America, is considered very liberal. Because I found myself going like, liberal.
Really?
It's like if you want the real centrism as opposed to what everyone's calling centrism, feminism pretty much it.
Yeah.
You know, it's the like, hey, a woman could be should be allowed to be as big a dirtbag as a guy.
Yeah.
Well, I can't argue. You know, I can't argue.
Can't argue with that.
But at the same time, it's not exactly. Hey, let's get in a few things that will work for all of us. Like, why not?
Mm-hmm.
You know, but no. Look, people just want to buy in harder to the economic and class struggle which already exists. They just want to get rid of that gender barrier, which, as I said, to be fair, probably shouldn't be there in the first place.
They want to get rid of the gender barrier for themselves. Like, fuck all the other women.
Yeah.
That's what it boils down to.
Like, it's really rough because when you look at the entire, like, I don't want to say ideology because I'm not actually talking about about that.
Mm-hmm.
Like the body of work.
Yeah.
You know, when you actually look at the body of work, most people look at feminism and see Valerie Solange and Andrea Dworkin.
Yeah.
And one of the problems is that those people exist. Like, they're real. They are absolutely fucking real.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I am very resistant to that shit. It's why, like, for example, it's why I wasn't a big. That's why I hated Nina Sarkeesian. You know, like, I was like, oh, I know this rhetoric. I've been dealing with this rhetoric all my life. And one of my favorite things during that whole period of time, during that period of time, was getting people telling me how I was wrong about Anita. And I was like, well, that's nice. But there's only one person that can prove to me that I'm wrong about her, and that's her. You actually have no fucking idea what she's up to. You know, you don't. You only have as much information as I have. So
you only know as much as what she shows you.
Yeah, you only know what she shows you. So you don't actually know. I don't actually know. I could be wrong. But the one thing I've got on my side is that people who talk like this all tend to go the same route.
Yeah.
So, you know, if it quacks like a duck, it probably is, no matter what else you want to call her. So beware. You know, beware. Yeah. There's something else going on here, and you want to make sure you know what it is. And it's going to be hard, but you can't just. But by the way, what's trying to convince me going to do?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you know, first of all, you can't do it. Only she can. You know, which I'm up for, but she's also a really great example of, like, be careful what hill you choose to die on and for what reasons. You know, because it was like, oh, video games are sexist. That's the hill I'm going to die on. I'm like, you're going to die on you're going to die proving that hill exists? I think all the people who care to know that already do.
Yeah, especially the ones who work in that industry.
Yeah.
Like, to them.
You know,
it's the same bullshit of, like, people going on about, like, how sex work is degrading and exploitative, but they talk to people, everyone else but the sex workers themselves. Like,
exactly,
kind of get swept under the rug.
Exactly,
because they don't want to talk to anybody who's going to contradict their own narrative.
Well, they don't. Well, it's. I don't even think it's that. I don't even think it's that. I actually think it's worse. I think what it really is they just want mommy and daddy to notice them. Now, not in a literal sense, but, like, they want to be the epitome, the apotheosis. Everyone wants to be the apotheosis of whatever ideology they've got going on.
Yeah, it's the race to piety, basically.
Yeah. Everyone just gotta get it. And the problem with this is that it means that anything that could challenge you on that level, you don't even see because it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And that's I know that's I know that's I think that's annoying.
Quite.
I think that's kind of annoying, and I hate it. And goddamn people, why they gotta?
Yeah.
Why they gotta do that? Why they gotta make these?
America landed a free on this money, and
Yeah. Land of the. I hope you got a couple of bucks. If not, you're gonna have a real rough time. It's weird because like America does, like Rome before it.
Mm-hmm.
America does have a path to fortune, but also like Rome before it, it does everything it can to keep people from reaching the goalposts that it set up.
Yep.
It's like, wow. And for no reason.
Basically, like the idea of Zeus and the gods before him, it's like they want to make sure that a revolution doesn't come up and destroy them.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot
Zeus
of that.
fought against his father Cronus, and then he ended up ruling Olympus, and he's like, oh shit, I don't want any of my children to come and destroy me.
But if Rome and China are anything to fucking go on, and by the way, they are. Mm-hmm. The problem is this. When you start doing that, you create social instability.
Yep.
It is a fast track to revolution. Yep. Now the revolution isn't always bloody, but that's the roll of the dice that you make every time there's a revolution. And one of the things that was interesting about American democracy is they built in the idea of this revolution into the fabric of the way that the country is run. That's why there are terms. That's why people vote on representatives and all that shit. So every time, the court has shifted, conservative or liberal, that's a revolution. That's a revolution. That's a turn of the wheel. And usually what would happen is that there'd be a really bloody affair. Like a lot of people get killed.
Mm-hmm.
So they wanted to figure out a way, and for the most part it's worked. But the more conservative you get, the more violent revolutions become. Because the problem is that stability turns into stasis.
Mm-hmm.
And if not enough things change, people get angry. They get super fucking angry. You can only play the I'm not touching you game so long before a person snaps and knifes you.
Yeah.
They're going to punch you. Pray that they don't have a knife.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I love watching videos of people like that getting the shit beaten out of them. It's the most beautiful thing in the world. And they're
so shocked when it happens and just like,
yeah. How did you not think for half a second that this guy wasn't going to annihilate you? And I don't know. My favorite example, I was actually like right up close and personal with. There were these two guys at club, and one of them was like this like skinny white kid. The other was like this like smaller but like really well muscled, like Asian dude. I was pretty sure he was Japanese, and he had the sleeves. So I'm like,
It's always the skinny white boys that think they're arrogant enough to do.
Yeah. But like this guy's got like the double sleeves, and I'm like, whoa, okay. Double sleeves, San Francisco. There is a chance you're not a gangster, but I wouldn't be willing to roll those dice. I would not be willing to roll those dice. And I guarantee you, a guy built like that with tattoos, he at least knows how to kick your ass. Bare minimum. So me and this other dude are trying to keep these guys separated because they start fighting, like physically fighting, like in the club. And we're like, we're out in the street. We're like, yeah. I got the smaller guy because there's no way I was going to be able to hold the other dude. No fucking way. Like, I'm like a foot taller than him. And I'm like, I can't, dude. There's no way. So, my friend Mike took that guy. And the thing is that Mike is also like, was like 208 pounds. He's
built like friction house.
Really big dude. And so it was like, okay, great. Like, he'll handle it. Well, we're trying to get these guys separated, but every time one of us loses grip, they're like magnets.
Yeah.
They just won't stop. And we can't. And the part of the reason is that we can't get the white kid to stop antagonizing the other dude. It's like, no.
Yeah, because they're fucking very good. They think they can do it.
Yeah. And we're just like, shut up.
It's like little dog syndrome. They try to assert dominance by taking on the toughest looking guy in the room.
Yeah, and it's like, no, you're going to fail. You will fail. And all of a sudden, the white kid is like, you fucking chinks are all alike. You're all in on it. And that was the moment, like, me and Mike look at each other, and we're just like, well, the bell just rang. Ding, 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 ding. You're on your own now. That's the way it is. Like,
just dust your hands off. All right.
Yeah. And then we're sitting there,
later.
smoking. It's like, think he's gonna give him yeah. Should we call the ambulance?
Let's wait till.
Well, maybe we should call the police. They're kind of in the middle of the intersection. No. I kind of want to see how this goes down. And then the police did show up, and we're like, all right, we're out of here. See ya. But holy crap. Oh no, that white kid got tore up. Like, he had, like I said, he had no fucking shot. There was no way he was going to win. He might be able to get out. His face might heal eventually.
Yeah.
There's a good chance his face would heal eventually, but he's done. It's like, no, you're done for the week. You're just done. And it's crazy because, like, there was nothing we could do to get through to this guy. Like, no, dude, we're not saving him from you. We're trying to save you, and we don't like you.
And then when he pulls out that crap,
when he pulls that crap, it's like, done. All right, that's it.
You just signed your death wish there. Go for it.
Yeah. I was just like, it's just like, no, you don't. I sit there and I'm like, wow, you don't get it. You do not get what is going on here. Like, and, because part of the reason was that Mike was like, no, that guy will fucking annihilate him. It's like, job one, get it out of the club so that the club does not get shut down.
Yeah.
No matter what happens. 2, try to make sure no one gets killed. But that was, in fact, the priority.
Yeah.
We didn't want anyone to die, but we also didn't want it to happen in the bar.
Here.
Yeah, because that becomes a big problem. It happens on the street. Oh, that's terrible. It's awful. But guess what?
It's in public.
It's in public. It happens in a bar. You've got a whole other list of fucking problems that have nothing to do with a guy being dead in a bar.
That actually kind of makes me think back to, because that would the same thing shit would happen if something happens in a kink or fetish club. That, maybe somebody's being too rough or a fight breaks out. If the police comes in, the entire thing's shut down.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're just done. And that's why...
It doesn't matter what's going on. It's just more like, just because it was happening in here.
Yeah. That's why those communities like live and die by the people who are just willing to fucking throw people out.
Yeah.
You know, like
we put up those protections there to ensure that like the rest of the community survives.
Yeah, like how to put it. I remember that was back in Washington D.C. That was a fucking. I don't want to call it zero tolerance because that's not what it was.
Mm-hmm.
It was any sign of trouble, you're done for the night.
Yeah.
You go home. If either of you cause another problem, well now, isn't this interesting? It's you again. And if you cause a third problem, there ain't no fourth problem.
Yeah.
You know,
I wouldn't even allow them to have a second problem, honestly.
The problem is you kind of gotta.
Yeah.
You kind of gotta. Well, it depends on what the problem is.
Yeah.
You know, there's a difference between going like a little too far and he's not taking the safe word.
Yeah, or even
not
just
taking
like,
the safe word. That's a first-time
new,
offense.
You know, he made a really stupid mistake. Whereas, oh no, this guy's a serial predator. Like, get
yeah. Done. Out. Yeah.
Because the thing is, though, is that whether you're a sex worker or not, I mean, anything involving a marginalized community like kink, if somebody's causing a problem, word gets
around. Yeah. Everyone knows. You know, like how to put it. You ain't getting away. You didn't get away with it. No one called the cops. There's a difference.
Yeah, and not to mention, like, because the community is so small, everybody knows each other, and a lot of people who at least like own events or like powerful enough, they're just like, yeah, you're blacklisted. Get the fuck out.
Yeah, and people need to be able to do that. And sometimes it feels so good.
It does, honestly.
You're gone. That's right. You're gone. You're out of here.
Really good.
86th. You know, I found out why it's called 86th.
Why is that?
Okay, because there's a bar in New York that used to be a speakeasy back in the day. And the alley door, the number on the alley door is 86. So it's like 86
something. 86 you're just thrown out the door.
Yeah, literally throw them out the back door into the alley and like either leave them there or work them over.
Mm-hmm. Depending
on what it's like that day. Yeah, we're going to declare Martian law. You know, anyway.
But like I was just saying earlier, that a lot of times we can't always trust law enforcement because like BDSM and kink runs in a very, very gray area.
Yeah.
So it's like, so sometimes it's difficult, especially with like sexual assaults and stuff like that, because people go in and say, well, you did consent to this, but it's,
but they don't actually.
Don't know the context of what was going on here.
Yeah, well, it's also no one ever calls in the BDSM expert in on these things. They never fucking call them. It's never they're going to show you're going to give expert testimony in fucking court, which is really too bad because like you can find out where a line is pretty fucking well from a professional.
Yeah. And a lot of these people like kinksters actually do work in professions and like
they do.
Psychology is a pretty high one that a lot work in, mental health and stuff like that. And they could be the ones to tell you like, look, this is very different than what people perceiving and what it is than what is actually going on.
Yeah. And it's really rough because I don't like having to too big a separation between like sexuality and everything else. I think it's unhealthy.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, and it kind of what brings up a lot of these repressive things in there, and just like the means of control is just ridiculous.
Oh my god, yeah. The amount. Oh my god, the amount. How to put it? The amount of control some people want is fucking terrifying. It's fucking terrifying. Like, and we're not talking about like kinksters. We're talking about like lawyers and politicians and police officers and, like normal people, the amount of control they want is fucking crazy. And I have no idea, honestly, sometimes what it's about. The only thing I ever really come up with is this idea that it's this whole culture war idea.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's like, no, we have to control it. It has to be this way. And it's like, okay, why? It just does. And it's like, oh.
Well, you control sex, you control everything.
Yeah, pretty much.
It works for the church, so.
Yeah, that's definitely the common wisdom. And the sad thing is that there is a bit of truth to it. I just wish it didn't.
No, I hear you. I find that the control of sex actually creates more problems than it solves.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it does. Holy crap. What's wrong with busting a nut when you really get down to it?
Right?
Is there any real inherent problem? The answer seems to be, not really. Not really.
Well, a lot of it kind of boils down to, it's it's in essence a control. I mean, you can't allow people to have anything for themselves. It's like you have to basically be a slave to whatever authority you are. And one of the things that that is yourself is your own body. And government has been constantly trying to control that, whether it's how you work, how you fuck, how much or how little you eat and shit like that. Everything's evolving about controlling the human body. So, of course, even something simple as just having a little wank is still a bit of an issue to some people. Which really, boils down to is just, we don't want you to have anything for yourselves. We want you to put your hands to work.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of. Yeah. I hate people sometimes.
Idle hands at the devil's workshop.
Idle hands at the devil's playground.
Funny story. I actually recalled many years ago, even before I went to the kink community, I was in the library and I found a print, a reprint of the Malefice Maleficarum, the Witch's Handbook, or the Witch's Hammer. And interestingly enough, I took a flip through it because I was kind of curious. It's what did they write through that? And hilariously, some of the parts that they wrote about what goes on in a witch's Sabbath, I look at that and it's just I think I've seen this in a porn. You can't help but to think it's whoever's writing this witch book, they're just writing with one hand and stroking with the other, and it's just
Well, yeah. Because here's the thing. A lot of what is known about witchcraft, particularly the Middle Ages, during that period of time, comes from a book called La Sorcellerie. I'm probably saying it wrong. Yeah, it's a French book. But it's where most of the knowledge and imagery of what we think of as Middle Age witchcraft is. Yes. And you start to realize very quickly, if you can read between the lines, that, everything that people are worried about now has always been an issue. Abortion's always been an issue. Yeah, always. Everyone's no, it's so modern measure. No. No.
Drugs have always been an issue.
It's always been there. Yeah, drugs have always been an issue. Women's sexuality has always been an issue. That's always been the big.
And what does that all boil down to? Control of your own body.
Control of your own body. This is the thing everyone's worried about because, and this is where it gets fucked up, doing that helps stabilize two things. One, inheritance, and two, the ethnic makeup of the nation.
Yeah.
And witchcraft is a very easy way to make a path where these two things, where that control evaporates.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like, hey, nothing fucking changes the genetic makeup of an area like a woman going, well, maybe I'll give that a try. It doesn't. It's the most peaceful way of doing it. It's the most peaceful way of doing it, too.
Yeah, I mean, make love, not war.
Yeah, make love, not war. Well, the Vikings tried to... there's always been a combination of the two.
Yeah.
You know, like, let's not pretend that people turn a blind... that every society turns a blind eye.
Interesting to kind of bring up, like, witchcraft and paganism, too, because I find a lot of that in the kink community itself. Like, a lot of people who practice it. Even myself, I kind of become into a cult myself because I just find very interesting some of these knowledges that have always been there, but it's just, you know, kind of been swept under the rug because of this authority figure known as the church has been trying to control people.
Well, yeah. Everyone's afraid that fucking that, you know, conservative Christianity is going to come down on you like a fucking ton of bricks because it could. Because people have seen what they do when the enemy doesn't really exist.
Yeah.
Like the satanic panic happened.
Oh God, yeah.
Wow. Like every fucking suburb, every town had a satanic church according to these people. And everyone in the town knew which church it was. It was the old abandoned building on the edge of town, for some reason, always there. You know, always the abandoned building by the edge of town. Always someone's cousin's dog was killed there. Always someone's cousin's best friend fucking saw it. You never get a first-hand account.
Witchcraft and Satanism becomes this kind of conduit for everybody's repressed sexuality to be put into.
Well, yeah, I mean,
how could some of these people come up with these like incredibly vivid images of like these repressed memories of being in these satanic rituals and just like, what the hell's going through your mind to kind of create that? These sound like sexual fantasies. Yeah.
You know, like...
And even with the sex workers that kind of comment on people who are abolitionists and, you know, go into this human hysteria, human trafficking hysteria, some people call they're basically jerking off to their tragedy porn.
Well, you know who I blame for the current round? You know, didn't start the fire, but definitely was like, hey, let's get this burning again.
Put the gasoline on it.
This round, Oprah. This round, it was Oprah. Yeah. It was Oprah because she had this woman on her show, and it was just like my struggle. You know, it's basically my struggle in human trafficking. You know, like this all happened.
Wasn't she the one who also kind of fanned the fires of satanic panic too?
Oprah. No, Oprah wasn't really a thing back then.
Really?
Yeah, really.
I just wondered she was okay.
Oh no! The fire that she did fan the flames of was gangster rap Fear. Never forget, Oprah did that too. Evil gangster rap. You know, evil gangster rap. That was Oprah. She popularized the Fear. Like, man, Oprah, fucking get them white girls like Fear and tear dollars.
White women's tears.
White women like Fear and tear dollars. Holy fucking shit. That's big money. That's the real money.
If you want, for conservatives, if you want to get anything done, make the white woman cry.
Yeah. And then
it boils down to.
Oh, absolutely. Every single fucking time. How to fucking put it? Like, okay, so I'm watching that American Horror Story cult because it's now on Netflix. And I was like, I really want to see this. But I can't just get stars.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and which pisses me off because I'm like, there were like 5 shows on that one thing that I wanted, but I couldn't just get it because fuck you, Comcast. So they're like, well, we can put in stars, but you also have to buy the basic cable package. Like, fuck your basic cable package. Just give me stars. And they're like, no. And I'm like, I don't want CNN and Fox News in my fucking television. You know, I look at it on the internet, and that is fucking enough. They're like, well, you know, you don't have to use them. I'm like, okay, so then why are you trying to fucking sell them to me? Like, I got a better idea. $10 a month, just give me stars.
But as you're saying about the cult series, just kind of.
Oh yeah, the protagonist. it's not a mistake that the protagonist is a hysterical white woman.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting because have you seen it?
Unfortunately, I haven't been catching up with it since like season 3.
Oh my god,
so I'm just like way behind.
Okay, well, each season is a separate story, so you don't feel like. All right, so,
and I don't care about spoilers too much, so don't worry about it.
So I'm only like halfway through the season. I'm going to watch the rest of it a little later on. But one of the things that happen is, so you got this woman, she has like a lot of fears, a lot of phobias, a lot of anxieties. And most of them are irrational. But Trump gets elected and she goes fucking batshit insane. Like, she loses her goddamn mind. Meanwhile, across town, this is exactly what another guy has been waiting for. And in the wake of the Trump election, he begins to create a literal cult of fear. And he's
in worshipping fear, or
no. It's like they're going to. He's gonna make his compound. He has followers, and they are going to insert themselves into local politics so that they can destroy everything and then be there when everyone needs something done. So it's a basic.
That already exists.
Basic
it's
power
called
scheme.
a Quiverful movement.
Yeah, I know. I know, but
which is scary as shit when you think about it.
Well, yeah, but so you're watching this happen, and their whole goal really is to spread fear so that people start killing each other.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so they can seize power. Very clear metaphor for fucking Trump administration.
Yeah,
super clear. So clear, in fact, that at one point the guy, the cult leader, takes a bag of Cheetos, puts them in a blender, and then puts it on his face. I'm like, whoa. Damn. But here's where it seems to be going, which is it's all about these people trying to take over this town by terrorizing one white woman. I don't know how this plan is supposed to work. But it's also clear that they haven't revealed the entire scope of the thing.
Yeah.
So I'm just sitting there.
But it is pretty apparent that, like, the whole big picture is how politics kind of work. It's like, make the white woman scared. So then, in turn, all the white men get angry and act on their behalf, and it just piles up.
Yeah. It just piles up from there. Like,
yep.
It's got Chaz Bono in it, of all goddamn things. It's got Chaz Bono as this fucking super, like, fucking Trump-supporting MAGA hat wearing good old boy. And I'm like, that's Chaz Bono. I wonder how many people are getting this joke, you know? Yeah. Just the joke of casting Chaz Bono in this role.
I love little bits like that. So.
Yeah. That's
great.
It's turning out really well. It's also got, like, the main character is also afraid of holes. So there are a lot of
trypophobia.
Yeah, she's afraid of holes, and so there's a lot of bee and honeycomb imagery that starts happening because a cult is like a hive.
Oh.
Yeah.
Actually, it's interesting just thinking about American Horror Story because it just kind of relays into some of the things I've been wanting to kind of talk with you about, how much horror content overlaps with kink and stuff like that. And it just reminded me, actually, of the first season of American Horror Story was a character wearing that complete PVC gimp suit. Yeah.
Funny thing is that the gimp returns in Cult, which I thought was hilarious. Now, it's obviously not the same. It's not the same character, but it's still the same actor playing a gimp. Like, that seems to be one of the things that, all right, at some point in this season of American Horror Story, we're going to have this guy in a gimp suit.
Yeah.
And that's how it's just going to happen.
But it is kind of interesting whenever I see like horror content and stuff like that, and I kind of realize how much it influences people's sexuality and kink, or sometimes it just kind of like flows where some directors and actors put in their own sexuality into the films as well.
Yes.
So
yeah, there is a bit of that.
Yeah. One of the funniest ones story was how I met my submissive, in which he was this young guy, basically about 19, 20, and I saw him, and I initially didn't see his face. He was actually wearing a gas mask, and we ended up talking, and I actually mentioned, you know what? I actually realized that I had a gas mask fetish when I watched My Bloody Valentine. The opening sequence. It was like, there was something kind of odd about it, where it's like, I wasn't really too sure why, but just that part where, like, she had taken off her clothes, but she still had, but he still had his clothes, and the way she was just kind of like fondling that hose up to his face and breathing.
Are you talking about the remake or the original?
The original, of course.
Okay. Just checking.
But it was kind of funny watching that. I'm like, I am strangely turned on by this.
Well, that's the way it is.
I mentioned that to my submissive there, and humorously, we ended up like talking and really enjoying horror movies. And one of his favorite ones is Hellraiser. Because I mean, we're not going to talk about King of Horror without bringing up Clyde.
Oh, you can't not bring up Clyde Barker. Right? Hellraiser specifically. God, like all right, I gotta make a confession.
Okay.
I'm a terrible submissive. I can't do it.
Not everybody is.
I can't do it. I can't do it. I've tried, and it was just one of those. You know what? Get me down from this goddamn thing.
Although you do have a certain thing where you can be a submissive or a bottom. Submissive kind of has more like a cerebral aspect to it, whereas a bottom's just kind of more like, just hit me. So
no, neither. It was neither.
Fair enough. I mean, some people just found they're not into it. I mean, I went in initially thinking I was submissive and finding out, oh no, that's not the case.
Yeah. For me, it was like, how to put it? That was the way towards. How to put it? All right. So you know how like everybody in bondage, in BDSM, this is everyone's got like the animal, the beast.
Oh yeah.
Where it's just like, all right, at the end of the day, this is what the animal wants. And I'm sitting there.
Feed me.
What? Yeah.
Feed me.
Feed me. At the end of the day, this is what the animal wants. And it became very obvious that what mine wanted was to not be restrained under any circumstances.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, yeah, let's.
I think for me, what I realized why I was dominant is that because most of my life I kind of felt restrained by my upbringing.
Yeah.
So any sort of means of like trying to hold me back or prevent me from doing something, I'm just like, fuck no, I'm not going to allow myself to that. And this is probably one of the this is probably the first time in my life I ended up becoming really in control of my life by just actually going for what I wanted.
It's rough.
Yeah.
It's rough. How to put it? It's strange because it's no less fearful, but it seems weird to say it's the kind of fear that you want.
Yeah.
But it really is. Oh, someone said they need to rewatch the Candyman trilogy. Well, I can recommend one of those movies.
Interestingly enough, I was thinking about Candyman earlier with regards to like some of the aspects of kink, or at least of the dominance, is that there's always that presence to them, where on some level they're terrifying.
Yeah.
But also intriguing. And I thought about Candyman in that case because he looks kind of terrifying. You got this open chest and all these and stuff like that. but the way he talks to you, he's very romantic.
It's very romantic and very soft. Yeah.
And you almost feel a little bit, it's almost kind of soothing, and you're just kind of like felt drawn towards it. That sort of like, that sort of thing where it's a good villain where you're like, you're attracted to them, but you're also like really frightened of him, and it just kind of goes back and forth like that. Yeah, well,
I think that goes back to like why women were attracted to Bela Lugosi's Dracula. Mm-hmm. You know, because he did have the same thing. Yeah. You know,
like a vampire oozes sensuality. Yeah. Like, it's dangerous, but the way he talks, it's almost like he makes you want it.
Yeah, exactly. There's this. I've talked about this with a lot of people, and it usually gets taken. I always fear it gets taken the wrong way, which is that one of the things I've always felt is that there is something inherently sadomasochistic about human sexuality. Like, inherently, inherently, the male is a little more sadistic, and inherently, the female is a little more masochistic. Now, that's not gonna play out in the individual the way it does in the broad numbers. But, so always be careful. Not every girl wants it that way. Trust me. Yeah. But that is an aspect of that which we call masculinity and femininity. And it's something that we can never really come to grips to, because Mother Nature has done something very strange to us.
Yeah. It's one of those, I think the way I probably describe it is like, you would think that they're the opposite, but they're really not. They're just like two sides of the same coin. Yeah. Like sex and death are basically much more intertwined, not just like culturally or psychologically, but, also within us as well. Yeah. I mean, the same features that we have in our bodies that we get scared is like the exact same features that show us when we're sexually aroused. Yep. The expanding of the pupils, the blood rushing to your face, and, the heavy breathing, that's kind of present in both of them. Yeah. Yeah, it really is. So you have eroticism and fear, which go together, just kind of like, but of course, if you don't do it right, it's like, it really doesn't work, and that's one of the strange things, which is the fact that they're connected is undeniable, but there's no surefire path towards evoking it in somebody. There are just tricks that tend to work. For one, being a male with a deep voice helps. Mm-hmm. It just does. Yeah. Being someone who appears to be in control is another thing that helps. So like all the Candyman Dracula traits. Yeah, exactly. But with that has to come, and this is the interesting part. It has to come with a vulnerability. Otherwise you're just fucking Sauron, and no one really wants to fuck Sauron. Right. You could be this all perfect bad guy, but no one's going to be real turned on by that. Well, they might, but that's real marginal. That's like super marginal. That ain't like people being attracted to Candyman or Loki or something, Yeah. So you because there's always that part of them where it's just kind of like they feel close to, or like it kind of, like you said, a vulnerability kind of you kind of get attached to. Yeah. Okay, so that does remind me. A while back, Rick Classic donated some money to be in the chat, and I was thinking of inviting him in. Would you be okay with that? I'm sorry, what was his name?
Rick Classic.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, great. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. Rick, let's make sure that let's make sure that I'm pretty sure I've got your DM. No, I don't have a DM from you, actually. So send me a DM on the Twitter. I'll send you the link, and I am going to re-get my drink, and we'll continue the discussion of eroticism and horror.
Yay!
Monstress Savage. Yay! You gonna get a drink too, or?
I still have my drink, so I'm good.
Oh, you're
kitty.
You get a pet. Go pet cat. Go pet the cat on camera. That makes great internet.
Yes.
Kind of intimacy that characters like Candyman and Dracula.
Very much hunter-prey.
Yeah. Even though Hunter like basically goes through every woman in that book, it's like one by one.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, but there is a certain intimacy of like in this case, the monster kind of seeking a human woman to capture, to eat, to fuck. You know, that kind of basically that whole kind of feeling of hunting. Yeah, I always felt like. I always liked Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula because the way... Is everything okay?
So if we're making a comparison between Candyman and Dracula, does that mean that Candyman's hook is supposed to be like a kind of penetration symbol or whatever?
Yeah. Oh, his hook? Yeah.
Pretty much,
totally.
yeah.
Totally.
I mean, they've done the same with any sort of any sort of knife or any sort of blade weapon in horror films and the like, where it's just basically, it literally is a penetration.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, how to put it? I was actually when I interviewed Tony Todd, he actually was like, yeah, he's supposed to be like Bela Lugosi and the Phantom of the Opera, you know, where like there's this one girl, like it's in those classic movies, there's like one girl, you know, and he's very like fascinated with her, and he's monstrous, but he's like, but it was important that even though he was evil, that he actually loved Virginia in this weird way and wanted her to be with him, but to be with him, she has to be a slasher legend. Which again goes back to vulnerability. Yeah, because that's showing his vulnerability that he wants this girl. Yeah, and that's and ultimately, like the thing that was really cool about Candyman is that in the end he kind of gets what he wants. He kind of gets what he's after. You know, like. Because there is, even though she fights him, you get the feeling that's kind of the point. Yeah. Everything that happens right up to like burning in that pyre, saving the kid it's all about her. It's not about the kid. It's all about her. Well, it literally was in that movie. It was all about you. Or it's all for you, Helen. It's all for you, Helen. Yeah. Yeah.
So, like the song says, the chase is better than the catch, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. And the funny thing is I was talking to the director, Bernard Rose. I was like, I really think it'd be really cool if someone could actually do like the real obvious sequel to Candyman, what it should have been in the first place, which is it should have been a story about the continued relationship between Helen and Candyman. You know, like basically the idea being that they are these two legends and that they now come together, you know, and having them be the main characters of another story that is happening, you know, but actually have it be like, you know, have it actually be like a tragic love story. Mm-hmm. You know, like, maybe Lady Hawk it a little bit. You know, they can't quite be together, but they're as close as but they never quite leave each other either. You know, because I always love that end scene where she comes and kills her ex-husband. Because one of the things is like, you don't hate that guy, you just don't like him. You're like, oh, you're just weak. Mm-hmm. You know, you're just weak. You're not an evil, hateful, like misogynistic guy. You just suck. You're just a weak man.
Turn in your man card, basically.
What?
Turn in your man card, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But what I kind of noticed is that whether it's horror involving the sexuality involving the character, or it could also be in the mood or if how the cinematography is used. Actually, one of my favorite bits was, and I did incorporate this in some of my scenes, was giallo films. Because they basically ooze sensuality from everything that they've created, or from like the lighting, the music, costuming and such like that, where it feels like a dream, and particularly an erotic one. One of my favorite bits, was knife play. That's something I quite enjoyed. And again, that whole feeling of like between sex and death, where you have the feeling of the knife and it's scary because it could cut you, but it's kind of exciting too because of that.
Because it
teetering on that tightrope.
It hasn't yet.
Yeah, but it could.
But
it hasn't yet. Yeah. And I kind of see that a lot of it there where, pretty much where a lot of people kind of put in their own psychosexuality into the films, and I kind of like looking into that.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God.
And giallos basically stick out.
I saw this one. It was like an American giallo film. But I can't remember the goddamn title of it. But it had this aspect that was really that was super fucked up. That is what made me always remember it. Now, I forget, I don't know the title of the damn thing. Mm-hmm. And I've never found the movie again. It was on cable once. I saw the whole thing, and I'm like, this is awesome. Mm-hmm. And then I forgot the title of it and never saw it again. Here's the plot. Young woman inherits a movie theater from her uncle. Not having anywhere else to live, she decides to live in the theater because it's a theater and she could very easily turn an office into a bedroom, which she does. Mm-hmm. But while she is there, she comes to believe that the theater is haunted because shit keeps happening. And while she's there, she also keeps having these like flashbacks to being a kid who's actually being molested by the uncle who owned the theater. Now,
I don't know if it's anything I remember.
Yeah, I can't remember the title, but like the part of it that was really weird was
I like you.
There's a point in the story where there's that moment of like, don't lie, you kind of enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And the answer, and the answer was yes. And you're just like, oh, yee.
Those moments where you look at that and like, I'm gonna go to hell for liking this.
Yeah. And at some point she runs into like a relative and there's like fucked up jealousy over this. It's like, what the hell? And I'm like, I can't remember what the fucking movie was.
Although that incest bit you're talking about is pretty much brings up another idea that I've been wanting to bring about, is that how kink and such is a way to kind of reconcile our cognitive dissonance that we have, in particular our taboos as well.
Yeah.
It's like trauma and fear. So incest is particularly one where it's like, it's something that looks really hot when you look at a screen, but then you realize they're related. You're just like, but you kind of want to watch it and just like, oh, but it's hot. It's like that kind of going back and forth on it.
Yeah. God damn it. Where is... Oh, is this it? No, it can't be it. Oh, hold on. No, that's not it. It's like, yeah, I don't know where to find this goddamn movie. Let's see, like, let me try one thing, like, movie.
So let me ask.
Child rape, movie theater, apple. Because there's an apple, like, shows up a lot in the movie. Waitress, no, that's not it. The apple, no, that's not it. Kids, that's not it.
May I ask, just let Rick ask his question? Maybe it's something I can answer.
Well, since incest is obviously very taboo here in the States, but it's very popular when it comes to anime and manga in Japan, why do you think that is?
That's an interesting one. I can't really comment on that because it's another culture. So I'm not really too sure about it. But I know that like incest in itself is a taboo primarily because it's actually a psychological effect.
Right.
Because it's the way that our brain is kind of like, it's a built-in mechanism in which I believe how it goes. It's if children lived in this household with these relatives for like within at least 5 years or so, that the chances of them committing incest actually goes down. Obviously, that doesn't work all the time because otherwise you wouldn't have any sexual abuse cases. But the idea behind that just makeshift case of preventing mixing of similar DNA, which kind of explains why like incest is a taboo across all cultures. But I will admit, like, I'm not too sure like why particularly Japan it seems to be kind of particular about that. Although I would also say that it's also kind of showing up more now in porn as well. Like look up, mommy dom or, stepsister or stuff like that. It's still pretty popular here too. So I don't know if I can really comment on the Japanese one, but it's like, if it's something that's taboo, there's always going to be someone who's going to fap to it. So.
Right. Yeah, well, like it's very odd because it seems to be a very the one thing that I have noticed is that when you get into like incest fantasies, it's almost there is this aspect of never having to leave home.
Oh, jeez.
I don't know what else to tell you.
Well, to be honest, with a lot of real life cases of like, major family incest, it's pretty much what happens because it was a lot of times these cases where the family was incredibly isolated.
Yeah.
Like that one in Germany several years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, there's been several cases of that where just like either it was intentionally separated or just like due to like where they lived that they were separated from much of the population. But sorry, you're just mentioning never having to leave home. Well, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, there's a lot of that, especially in the manga, because like I've read a bunch of that because I was like, all right, let's see, let's see what was going on here. Mm-hmm. And I'd always come away going, oh.
Yeah, I still think there's probably just a cultural aspect that I'm probably not too familiar with, so I can't really comment on that part.
Yeah, I would guess.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, like pretty much a lot of taboos that we have out there, it's like we either completely fear it or we fetishize it in order to kind of like negate the disturbance we have with it.
Most disturbing aspects.
Yeah. Like akin to, for example, there's a common one about a lot of women having rape fantasies, whether they're rape victims or not. But the ones that have been victims of rape kind of use kink and rape play or non-consensual play as a means to kind of like take control of the initial event, whereas they couldn't when it actually happened.
What do you mean? Okay, so but because we've used the word, I think we're going to have to define non-consensual play and what that actually means.
Well, it could mean things like, someone being forced down and penetrated. It could be someone tied down and penetrated, or even someone intoxicated and taken advantage of and stuff like that. But what I was kind of going by is that anybody who has had events in their lives in which they were taken advantage of, a lot of them have used kink as a means to kind of like rewrite the event that they've gone through. And a lot of times it just like, unlike the initial event, this time around, it's like they could be able to have things taken out that they don't want, or, when things become too much, they could say stop. So it's that aspect of like taking back control of an event in which control is taken away from you.
It does beg the question how one would initiate that.
How it probably would have to be like someone asks or something like that. Like not to reveal too much, but I actually have done this type of play, but I was the perpetrator, not the victim. And the person wanted me to do it. He was actually asking me to do so, and it was kind of due to a trauma he had, and he was kind of using it as a means of coping with it.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it's kind of interesting when I read into stuff like that and how much it interplays with like fear, and sometimes how sex kind of interlaces with that, whether it's a means of like making it hotter or like using it as a means to kind of tone down the kind of traumatic aspects of it. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I'm like thinking about it, because like makes sense to me.
Yeah.
You know, it's actually one of the things I've always been very fascinated by is the idea of kink sex as therapeutic, therapeutic experience.
It is basically. You would actually think that a lot of kink scenes, such as akin to like exposure therapy, is particularly for some people who are using it to kind of rewrite a trauma. That being said, though, it should not replace therapy, because that's not necessarily a good idea. But it can be good to kind of help help you come to terms with trauma, or like helping you kind of work through it. Like I said, for exposure therapy, or at least something to kind of help with those with PTSD and the like, because at least kind of helps them give them that aspect of control back.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, that totally makes sense, because pretty much all of BDSM and like it's very psychological, and it's particularly as a dominant, you have to kind of like understand what is going through a submissive's mind when you're doing these things to them, and understanding how the mind reacts to things.
Yeah. God. Sorry, I'm like kind of lost in thought a little bit. So
No, that's okay. But yeah, like understanding how trauma affects a person, understanding not only that, but like the kind of similarly, like when we watch a horror movie, we get that rush, that like adrenaline feeling from the scene. That's kind of the same thing with being smacked with a crop or a whip or something like that. That pain to kind of studs up that fight or flight feeling. Similarly, when you watch a movie and something scary, it just kind of pumps you up. So akin to that as well. So yeah, like you kind of understand once you really study into it, like how much psychology is involved in that. And when you're doing it well, it can be incredibly therapeutic for people. But when it's done wrong, it can basically be traumatizing.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And unfortunately, some people don't seem to know the difference sometimes. So it's just, yeah.
Whew. Well, that's definitely true.
Yeah, because I mean, as much as I love how everything involved in BDSM and such, the only thing I will kind of bare my teeth on is like how terribly it can attract very predatory people.
Oh yeah.
And like, I just need to do is call myself a dom, and I could be able to go beat up some bitch or do what I want.
Yeah.
Man, the amount of narcissists I've met through there, just Jesus.
Oh man. Yeah, it's fucking nuts. Like, I know this one guy, and I hung at his house once. He's married. But I don't know how to put it. I've hung around. I have this problem when it comes to narcissists, which is I don't tend to notice their narcissistic tendencies because I tend to just get annoyed and drown them out.
Most people don't. Most people don't. They either like are charmed by it, or like you said, you're just kind of annoyed by it and you just tune it out.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's kind of scary because that's how nobody notices it, and you don't know that you get caught in their trap until like you're really late into it.
Yeah. It's allowed me to leave those situations very easily, but
those who are very vulnerable are often caught into it, being taken advantage of, and then discarded, and they're just like devastated.
Yeah.
And then when you add like S&M on top of that, just like holy shit, it's a fucking mess.
Yeah. So. And one of the things I think is really funny about narcissism is they're not more likely to be talented.
No. Because I just think that if they just talk big, that is enough.
Yeah. You ever read a novel a narcissist has wrote?
Everything revolves around them. Or at least in some manner.
It's just bad.
Yeah.
Like, it's just bad.
Well, they just think that if they could just talk big, they don't really need to put into practice, because otherwise it would have to tell them that it would bruise their ego knowing that, like, they're terrible.
Well, like, they're masters of, like, no, that guy's just wrong.
Mm.
And you're like, really? Because this thing sucks.
Well, they're not only masters of deception, they're also a self-deception most of the time. Mm-hmm. It's the only thing they're decepting more than other people is themselves. So, yeah.
It's crazy, too, because, like, you're constantly going, like, do you even know what the fuck you are?
No, they don't. They don't, literally.
Oh, man.
That's why they're able to do what they do, because they could just basically learn to basically camouflage themselves into whatever scene that they're in and be able to adapt themselves to be popular by basically mimicking them. But when it comes to themselves, they don't really have a personality. And yeah, they're trying to like figure out a need to fill a void through other people.
This sounds like as if personality syndrome.
As if?
Yeah, as if somebody, like you said, who has no personality whatsoever, takes on some of the attributes of somebody else and act as if they are that person. To try to take
something,
their
yeah. It's probably akin to that. Maybe even narcissism is kind of like one of the symptoms of it.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure that's exactly what it's called, but I've heard of it before, and I didn't know if it applied. That's why I was asking.
Yeah, and like I was saying, for the kink scene and such, they're going to be attracted to scenes that's going to be like, you know, either they make some money, sex, or influence, and you know that sort of thing will attract all three.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, I've run into. I think this is probably why I didn't do as well in the bondage scene as maybe I feel like I should have, because I'm really bad at kissing up.
Yeah. To be honest, I'm not really too heavy into the scene either. I've actually ended up pissing off too many others because I ended up, you know, calling out their shit.
Yeah. I
so not too many people may like me. But at the same token, those who don't like me, I'm also outnumbered by a lot of people who respect me. So it's like,
yeah.
But yeah, sometimes when you go into a scene like that, you notice there's like an absurd amount of people like kissing up in order to be able to kind of climb their way up this hierarchy of sorts.
Yeah. And ain't that another thing with like super narcissistic people? Like there's super hierarchical thinking.
I like you.
Yeah.
Like it's fucking
definitely
nuts.
Yeah.
Like to the point where you're like, dude, there is no such division as wolves and sheep among people.
Yeah.
Not really. If you think it's that simple, that means you don't understand people very well.
No.
You know, but people who say that kind of shit, people like to prop up because it's easy.
Mm-hmm.
And it leads to certain, to moments like when you're talking to another guy and he's like, well, you know, the Dom has to command, and I'm like, no, the Dom needs to be obeyed. There's a difference.
Or it's
There's
like men are
between...
inherently dominant and women are inherently submissive. And
oh, really?
I know you did mention something akin to that, but there are sometimes I hear it from some guys, and I'm just like, I just want to knock you down a peg. Like, there's just something about that. I just want to like break your ego.
Well, how to put it? Sadism and masochism have nothing to do with one's social status.
No.
Absolutely nothing.
Nope.
So God.
Not even necessarily.
I've met a lot of asshole doms.
Like also the power dynamics as well. Like one is subservient to the other. But it's just, if I hear a guy talk like that, I'm just like, get the fuck out. Or yeah. Or they'll get knocked down a peg pretty quickly. So
yeah, because that's the lowest common denominator thinking.
Yeah.
You think you're so clever? That's a fucking good old boy Cletus down a straight thing.
Yeah, am I supposed to be obedient to that? Fuck that.
Yeah. No, one is obedient to one who can provide something. That is that's the real way it is, but yeah, I've met a lot.
I think much like those monsters you're kind of mentioning too, is like they're big, powerful, and dominant, but there's still a vulnerability to them. Mm-hmm. I think that's kind of same with like a good dominant, is that they can allow themselves to be open and honest and vulnerable with a person. Mm-hmm. Whereas if a narcissist is kind of like talking all big talk, anything that kind of involves vulnerability, they just kind of like shut themselves up.
Yeah. And so a lot of people fall for that.
Yeah.
And how can you spot people who do that? Well, they have a fucking string of very rapid relationships that basically go nowhere.
Yeah. Unfortunately, in my case, when I got wrapped up with one narcissist, he was like completely new to the scene. So, but he had come from another scene.
Oh, so you're patient zero.
Yeah. Although I ended up being the only patient because afterwards, I ended up getting a lot of people's attention on this, and he got kicked out very quickly.
Good. Good.
Yeah.
I've gotten into
long string relationships that burn out very fast.
Yeah. And one of the scariest aspects, and this is something I do want to touch on, even though it's horrifying, is one of the problems. Let's take the step back to the Kavanaugh thing real quick. That was a humongous fucking illustration as to, well, why didn't they call the police? Do you have, I have no confidence anything's going to happen. It's a vote of no confidence. Like, what are you going to do? Oh, that guy's a Ninth Circuit judge. What are you going to do? Oh, that guy comes from a rich family. What are you going to do?
Or for a lot of sex workers out there, a lot of times they're sexually assaulted by the police.
I mean, sometimes people are stopped from reporting things by their families.
Yeah.
They don't want the look.
They don't want that shame of having to deal with it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's what a lot of it boils down to, is that they're trying to like save face and not having to have this shame placed upon them, whether they're guilty of something or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I totally agree upon there. And then also same thing with the narcissist too, is that it's kind of hard to really trust law enforcement and stuff like that when a lot of these, predators are really powerful and they protect each other. Mm-hmm. I mean, look at Hollywood right now with just everybody exposing themselves, or left, right, and center as being a sexual predator.
Well, yeah, like basically you've got one of the most powerful guys in the circle, Weinstein. If that guy's a sexual predator, then it's almost open season. because you can't. No one can do anything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's a problem because if he can't go down, then you have to do the math of how low on the totem pole this guy is, and will someone like Weinstein suddenly swoop in and protect this guy because he is connected to this in some way that you don't know?
Yeah.
You know, like
Mm-hmm. Basically, who beneath him that they could be able to expend.
Yeah. I have become so fucking cynical about the whole thing that
I can't blame you. I mean, I am too. I'm just kind of sick and tired of it.
Yeah, well, my common phrase right now is like, yeah, rape's a perfect crime. Fucking, the community will cover up for you every time.
Yeah.
You know, people are like, oh, but what about if race is involved? And I was like, oh, if race is involved, you don't even need to have a rape.
Yeah.
You don't need to have anything. You know, they'll just be like, hey, can we get some white woman to scream rape? Done. Now we can murder him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that fucking, I don't know how to put it, but in the days of my white grandparents, that was a thing people did in the South. Oh, it's a lynching.
Yeah.
Like, people don't realize how public that shit was.
It was like public entertainment. Bring your whole family.
Mm-hmm. Look, ask Nick.
You should check out the history of Tulsa, Oklahoma in 1921.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah. That whole thing got started because some white woman basically threw a black guy under the bus.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because she had gotten pregnant and didn't want to finger the father. So she made up a whole fucking story about some black guy. And then they found some black guy. And she just said, yeah, that's him, even though it wasn't, because no such person existed.
Yeah.
And that's the whole, that's the whole thing with me when people, that's the whole thing a lot of people bring up when they're like, oh, but what about false accusations? I'm like, one, false accusations are rare, and they're usually racially motivated.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, if you remove the racial motivation factor, the chances of it being some sort of
Revenge
revenge or fake accusation, all of a sudden gets really small.
Mm-hmm.
But...
And not to mention, a lot of rape and sexual assault aren't really intraracial. Like, they're not between two groups. They're just usually within the same group.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
But again, it's just
it doesn't usually... Well, that's one of the things that people don't realize, that rape don't often cross peer barriers.
Yeah. And humorously, that you brought that up, it kind of reminded me of another bit I was bringing up, was that in porn, the interracial genre is incredibly popular amongst races.
Oh, yeah.
Particularly, for example, the all-black gangbang going up, and this white woman kind of boils that to a thing. It's that whole thing that, white men all fear, but they also incredibly fetishize it.
I keep wondering how many of them are actually secretly fantasizing they're the white girl in that equation.
Yeah, there's that. I mean, there's also a whole bit, racial bit involved in cuckolding as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Like, people who cry cuck, oh, my God. That's how you find them. Market.
Yeah.
People in the sex industry. If I know you probably have already figured this out, but if you knew, I'm telling you, if you run into a guy who a few years ago could not stop using the word cuck, you found one.
Yeah.
You found
projection.
One. Yeah, you
well, that's
found
the thing, is
one.
Projection. They take all of the things that they kind of feel shame or hate about themselves, and they just project into another person, which a lot of times, especially with narcissists too, is that they're kind of they talk more about themselves than they are about the other person. But yeah, I do laugh every time I see someone using the word cuck as an insult. I mean, it's
here's a
word of using fag as an insult.
Yeah. They needed a fag again. That's what they needed.
Yeah.
And the thing I thought was funny about that is when I first heard it, I instantly knew what they meant, but I just found myself going, like, really?
Well, that's because you're pretty confident in yourself. I mean, somebody who's incredibly insecure in their own masculinity, they feel incredibly threatened by it, and they have to, like,
it did.
That
whole cuck thing did give me one phrase that I've never stopped fucking using. It's not cuck itself. Okay, you know how sometimes you'll go to like a Target or a grocery store and they have those little half fucking 2-level grocery carts?
Yeah.
They're like little mini grocery carts, and there's like a little level and a big level on the bottom.
Yeah.
All right. Well, they started referring to those as cuck carts, and I cannot stop saying that. It's like, yeah, get the cuck cart.
Why cuck carts?
Because it's a cart that usually single men use. So they got no woman. And the thing is it was definitely one of those, This is actually, the funny thing was, it actually was my preferred cart for making short grocery runs. Every time I go to the local grocery, I don't do big grocery runs at the grocery store, like only 4 blocks away, because it's too expensive. I do the big grocery run at like fucking Costco or Foods Co. or Kroger's or whatever. Basically any place there's like either deals or a lot of black people. And why do I do that? Savings, bro. Savings. Besides, I actually, I get a kick out of, I don't know why I get a kick out of it. I get a kick out of going to
with all that involving, like, again, that element of fear in which, like, men don't want to be perceived as feminine or weak or anything like that. But at the same token, it's also incredibly fetishized when you have, like, cuckolding, sissification, stuff like that. And it's just like, it's kind of hilarious and a little sad.
Let me see if I can get a picture of the cuck card out, because I feel like, hold on.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. It's just, I just love that phrase. Little tyke shopping cart. No, that's not it. Maybe if I actually just put in cuck cart. Cock cart. No. Cuck, not cock. If I need a cock cart, I'll fucking look at a sex shop.
Have you heard the latest thing those guys are doing now?
Oh, what?
Because people started making fun of soy boy as an insult and cuck as an insult.
Yeah.
They now started calling people NPCs.
Oh, yeah, that's kind of dumb. What? That's like the most least offensive insult. I'm like, okay.
I'm sorry.
If you want to sound like a nerd with no life, call someone an
NPC. Yeah, I'm like, dude, I love D&D, but let's not pretend that using D&D language somehow makes you more of a man. It doesn't.
Right.
It's like, not 20, bitch! Although I did say that, but I had a giant foam D20 in my hand at the time.
I do have one around here, but
oh my god, you actually have one of the giant foam D20s?
Not a giant one. I'm just like a softball size one.
Oh man, no, I saw one. It was like that big. I gotta get one. I fucking love them because they roll. I mean, they're foam, but they roll, and that's something I always want to go around at a convention with, and just like fucking throw at people. It's like if I had been into Pokemon.
Here's your dodge save.
Yeah. So make a reflex save. If I had been into Pokemon, I'd been that age, like I'd be throwing Pokeballs at people.
By the way,
since
being in the kink community, I have met more D&D people through there than anywhere else.
Oh yeah.
That's the thing people don't always realize, whether it's like kinksters or sex workers and such. We're a bunch of fucking nerds.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we kind of have.
There are sex nerds. I don't know how else to tell people. There are sex nerds.
Like, all my stuff that I do for dominance was basically derived from, like, horror movies and comic books and shit like that. So, I mean, that's kind of part of my whole aesthetic. So, of course, I mean, you got people getting involved in that, or even, like, porn models also doing cosplay, because cosplay in itself is becoming $1 million industry right there.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, Nerds like sex and we like buying shit, so put them together.
Put them together. Cosplay fetish. Woohoo!
Or even technology, too, because we tend to drive a lot of technology by, like, can it distribute sex? Can it record sex? Or can we fuck it?
Yeah. And sometimes we get into some really bizarre territory. Like, I'm not going to lie. I understand the body pillow.
Yeah.
However, whenever I thought of putting the image of a person on it, it got too weird for me.
So what do you think of that sex robot brothel up in Canada that they were talking about?
Hey, that's locally here.
Wait. Is there a sex robot brothel? Hold on.
It's going to be opening up in November.
Sex robot brothel.
Put in Vancouver. It should be up there.
Okay, Vancouver. Vancouver's first sex doll brothel could be opening soon. Okay, do we have photos? Because this is not going.
Oh, there's photos. There's photos.
But I think going back to that body pill, it's probably that feeling of uncanniness.
Ah!
You found them.
Whoa!
Which again, one person's fears, another person's wank.
I'm sorry. I'm looking at the shit. There's like grades. There's like levels of doll. You gotta like, oh man. Whoa. I'm sorry. I'm just looking with the sound off, and and the message of the brothel is, I don't know why. I don't usually judge a brothel by the appearance of its madam, but I'm looking at this one and I'm like, none of this makes sense. None of this makes sense. I mean, the woman looks like Theresa May. You know, like, that's not who you would expect to fucking run something like that.
Yeah.
You know?
But I think back to that body pillow, you just feel weirded out by that image because it's an image of a person's face and it's like, it's creepy to you. And I think the same thing you're getting with that doll is that uncanniness, and you're just like, no.
Yeah, like, you could. I keep trying to find where the line is. Like, you know, like, you put a girl in like monster makeup, I'm good. I'm good. I can. That's not a problem. Because
you can accept that as fiction.
Yeah.
But anything that looks too close to reality, but not quite, that's where that
or doesn't look, or it's not even doesn't look real at all. It's furry generally crosses that for me.
Sorry, say that again?
Furry generally crosses that for me. You know, where I'm like, yeah, no, not my thing at all. You go over there, it's cool. But like, one of the weird things about furry is furry's kind of like the fandom vegan. They're a lot more than you think.
Yeah.
And you're always going to run into the one that can't stop telling you about it. But the furry way of telling you about it is by wearing the furry outfit. And sometimes that outfit shows up in places where you're like, I don't want to be mean, but what? There's nothing quite like being at a horror show, because there are furries who are into horror. There are. And
just feels a little out of place with them growing up.
It does feel a little out of place. You're like, I see sexy Lydia Dietz, who's dressed up as like the cartoon character.
Yeah.
That's working. Whatever this is, no one's going to tell you to go home. But everyone is kind of wondering, what?
Yeah.
Everyone's tolerant. Everyone's being tolerant. They're being tolerant and understanding. But most people are just going, what? All right.
That's fair. And to be honest, like, I've drawn a furry artwork and I've gotten involved in the scene myself and just kind of curiosity. And it's like, yeah, it's weird. Totally fine with that. But it's just like, I kind of like the fictional aspect of it, in which it's like anything goes. And a lot of it's all within their artwork. Nobody's really fucking with their furry outfits because those things cost thousands of dollars to make. You don't want to ruin that shit. But a lot of it's all in artwork, and it's kind of like, I don't know, it's odd, it's strange, it's not for everybody. But it's like,
how do you mean?
Interesting.
Like, I've seen a fair bit of furry artwork because I spend time on the internet.
Yeah.
And I think many of us have seen such things.
Yeah.
But what do you mean by it's largely in the artwork?
Oh, probably regarding with the, like, they make their creations their persona, and a lot of times they've enjoyed the eroticism through the artwork. And these characters that they make, it's like, hey, your character looks pretty hot, like, can we draw these two fucking? So a lot of times it's just like, it's not necessarily that two furries want to fuck with each other. It's more like, hey, your creation looks pretty cool. Why don't we just like draw them doing this? And so I think it's a lot of it's a little bit more in the artwork. And
yeah.
Also, a lot of the furries also do crossover in kink, because in addition to furriness, they also have involvement in like bondage, sadomasochism, and the like. So I tend to find a lot of them there. And they do have other interests and such.
Yeah, there's quite a lot there. And I don't know. I don't know how to put it. Bondage is a very interesting intersection of people.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of intersection, it kind of makes me wonder if there's an intersection between furries and horror. How much of a fan base that something like Scare Bear would have?
Scare Bear?
Yeah, from the Venture Brothers.
Probably. I haven't seen
hold on,
it.
let me take a look, because I haven't.
But I mean,
seen that
Rule
one.
34. If it exists, someone made porn of it.
Probably.
All right,
I
let me
wouldn't be
see.
shocked.
Scare Bear. Okay. All right, I'm looking at this. It says spoiler alert. Now, fuck you. I know it's a spoiler alert. All right, going up on some castle. Some shit's going on. Where's this Scare Bear? Oh!
Yeah.
Okay. So, for those of you who don't know what Scare Bear is, it's literally a guy in a bloody bear costume just breathing heavy. Just like... He's just like he's doing the mass slasher, but like,
yeah,
without telling a joke.
I don't know how much of a fan base, but there's always going to be at least one person.
Well, because when you first said Scare Bear, I thought like if you made like Care Bear like stuffies, but they were like horror characters. No, those
I was thinking that too.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, no, those sell like hotcakes. You know, everyone would love those.
No, I'm sure that would go over, like you said, like hotcakes. No, Scare Bear, I don't know. Like actual Scare Bear, I have no idea.
That's a real different situation, because that's not even like.
But like I said, sexuality is weird. There's always going to be that at least one person.
Yeah. There's going to be that one, but like, I'm just looking at it and going, that's a super particular fetish.
Yeah, I think if you drew a Venn diagram on that one, the crossover would probably be rather small.
Yeah, it'd be very few people. I mean, like, how to put it? I wouldn't be surprised if I went to a horror convention and someone dressed up like that. You know, I don't know how many people would get that it was from the Venture Brothers, though. Because I think they would just be like, oh, serial killer in a bear outfit. Got it. Like,
well, I mean, there's also Robbie the Rabbit from Silent Hill. They probably would be able to understand that.
Oh, that one they get.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the problem with Scare Bear is, like I said, it's just a guy in a bloody bear costume.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't have. I don't know if you could make a costume that has that particular look, whereas the fucking Silent Hill bunny is a very particular look. It's a very particular rabbit. You know, this one is just like, I'm wearing a bear costume. It's got blood on it. And it's creepy because
basically it's not. Creepy. It doesn't really stick out as much, but
it wouldn't stick out.
Otherwise, if you have like a sexy girl wearing a Chucky costume, like a sexy like Chucky doll costume, it's gonna be like, oh yeah, you dress up as Chucky.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm looking at this Silent Hill rabbit right now. Yeah, that's easily scarier than Scare Bear.
Yeah. That thing is fucking horrifying. Fuck Five Nights at Freddy's, dude. Like,
it's like somebody had a massacre at a Chuck E. Cheese.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty sure that like that rabbit is what inspired Five Nights at Freddy's. Actually,
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, because like everybody played Silent Hill, and that thing was. Oh my god, I actually loved 3. 3 was my favorite. You know,
oddly enough, just thinking back to like carnivals and rabbits and such like that. That's another thing I've seen that it's very much like a split down between I'm scared by it and I'm turned on by it is like clown fetish.
Yes.
I don't know if you guys ever seen like when the newest It came out, like all the choral philiacs came out in droves and they were like all fantasizing about Pennywise. And it doesn't help that the actor is actually pretty easy on the eyes, but it's just like...
Yeah, Bill Skarsgård.
But like in that makeup and the buck teeth, I'm like...
I've seen... The funny thing is...
If I saw Eric Draven from The Crow, I'd be like, okay, I can deal with that.
Yeah.
But Pennywise, no.
Yeah, but there's a difference between a mime and a clown.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's a kind of a difference between The Crow and everything else.
Yeah, you know? But just like that face paint.
Yeah. Well, like, how to put it? It looks like corpse paint. So, okay. It's like heavy metal guy with long hair. Take me, you know, it's not. But however, one thing I will say about horror conventions, there were mad chicks rocking the Pennywise outfits.
Yes, I would definitely give that. I mean,
that was interesting. Of course, the most terrifying one that was there, the one that looked like really super accurate, I'm sitting there going, is that actually Bill Skarsgård? Because we are in LA. It's possible.
It's again that uncanniness. You're just like, weird.
Yeah, because it looked exactly like him, and I'm just sitting there going like, that is either the best costume, or that's just Bill Skarsgård with the fucking effects team that did the movie. And I'm not sure which one it is, you know?
Yeah.
Man, like it was really funny though, because the person in that outfit, there was a little boy in a little yellow raincoat with a balloon, a bloody arm. Yeah, like,
kids in cosplay are awesome.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I always wonder how much I always wonder if at Halloween Horror Nights I'm a complete killjoy. You know, because I'm having a good time, but I don't generally jump scare like people are kind of supposed to.
Yeah.
You know, like
oh man.
Like I went on that trick or treat haunted house, which was actually really good.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy the midget dressed up as little Sam, like comes up and I'm like, Wilson! Like super excited.
Yeah.
You know,
but yeah, I can just imagine someone that's like, God damn it, I came out and tried to scare this guy and he started laughing at me. Fuck, what did I do wrong?
Like, I'm like, yeah, I walked through like the werewolf girl thing and you know, just there's Count Jackula hitting all werewolf girls again. It's like, yeah. And everyone's like, how do you know they're all chicks? And I'm like, you're fucking assuming I give a shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, how do you know the chick could be dudes? I'm like, they can just keep the mask on. I'm good. Yeah. We can make that. We can make this work.
I noticed I had, in addition to gas masks, but just masks themselves, where it's like there's that again that playing up that uncanniness where it's like it seems human, but you're not. But it can also kind of add to that scariness, but also kind of sexy.
Yeah. Oh man, the movie that I watched and had an erection to. I was not expecting it. But then I got to the end of the movie and I was mad.
Because the mask was taken off?
What?
The mask was taken off?
No. No, it was Boxing Helena.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like every time it's just him doing stuff with this girl, this torso girl. It was kind of erotic. The problem is this: at the end of the movie, it's all a dream, and I'm like, "Fuck you, movie! You got no balls. Movie's got no balls."
Sorry, was it? I didn't catch that because it was static. Was it all a dream?
Yeah, it was all a dream.
Oh, and yeah.
Like, really?
Yeah.
It's a movie. It's Julian Sands. And have you seen it?
I haven't, but I know of the film that you're referring to, so that's why I was like, oh.
Yeah. It's really. Oh yeah, it's about a guy.
That face when you notice you figured out a fetish you didn't think you had.
Yeah, because it's all about a guy who takes care of a woman who has no arms and no legs, and she lives in a box. And occasionally he takes her out and does stuff with her. Sometimes it's just feeding her, sometimes it's having sex with her. But the kind of weird twist is that even though she's the one who's under his care, she's kind of the dominant, which was weird. Which was weird as in interesting. You know,
topping from the bottom is the thing.
Yeah. It's definitely topping from the bottom, and you're trying to. But the big question constantly remains: is she trying to escape or not? And and there's the aspect of the movie that gets really, really, really interesting. So to have it just be, it was all a dream because, like, you really want to have sex with your mother. It's like,
yeah.
Whether or not that is true, that's a terrible movie.
Yeah.
Like, that's a terrible story. Like, oh, gee, thanks.
Why?
Yeah, why? And the funny thing is I've run into many, many women who really like Boxing Helena. And they've all had the same reaction, which is like, it was a dream sequence at the end. I'm not forgiving that movie. I'm like, no, I'm right there with you. It just ruined it.
Yeah.
You know, it crucified. I thought it was going to be another, like, you know, I thought it was going to be another, like, fucking, what was it? The cook, the thief, the wife, and her lover.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be like that, and that pussy's out at the end. It's like, and then it's Julian Sands, like, fucking running away from breaking glass because, you know, he lives in a glass house. Yeah, it's bad. Like, it also does this thing where I found myself going, you ever see a movie, like, fuck up its own metaphor?
Oh, yeah.
By showing it to you? And just going, like, really? So the guy has, like, a Venus de Milo, but it, like, has arms, and at the end, the arms break off, and I'm like, really? The Venus de Milo could have just been there. It could have just been there and been a symbol. But no, we had to do
because
this.
you already understood the context of it, but it kind of treats the audience like it's dumb and say like, "Her, the arms fell."
Arms fell off, and you're like, oh, come on.
It's a symbolism.
Yeah. It was like the next time I would see like a metaphor like that completely fall flat was in a Twilight movie.
Mm.
It was what was it? It was like the second to last movie where like Bella and Dick Vampire Sparkle gets married. And she has this dream where, you know, he's in a white suit and she's in her dress and they kiss, and then all of a sudden there's just this blood everywhere. And I'm just sort of like, well, that's pretty cool. Like, I kind of get it. And then they pull back and they're literally on top of a wedding cake made of bodies. And I'm like,
you're pushing
really?
It.
Fucking really? That is stupid. Like that. The minute
it's redundant at that point.
Yeah, it's redundant. The minute the dailies came back, you should have been like, oh no. Oh, fuck no. We're not, that does not go in the movie. That looks terrible. But it's in the movie. And then she fucking like breaks in half because the baby kicks and breaks her spine. What is it about that? Do you know how many porn stories there are written by women? Now, women aren't always the ones who are pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
Just, that's a whole other level, boys and girls playing at home. But it exists. It's there. But like, one of the most common things that could fucking happen is a baby kicks and breaks the fucking carrier's spine. And it's like, what? Like, why this one specifically?
Yeah.
Why does this one keep showing up all the time? Is this a bigger problem than I know? You know, like, I mean, I get that that's like kind of I just don't get it.
You're more likely to have like the hip bone break and then like, you know, pierce the kidney or something like that and have a bleed out than, you know, kick the spine. It's like, what?
Yeah. But like hella like fucking erratic stories where pregnant people are having babies crack their spines in two. And I'm like, okay.
I thought for a moment you're going to go into male pregnancy trope.
Well, it's in that one too.
Yeah.
You know, because I've seen some of that. I don't know why.
I wish I could have gotten the screen grabbed at your face right at that moment.
Yeah, I don't know why. Like, MPreg is a hard limit for me. I'm like, no. I can't go anywhere near that. It just, something's wrong.
Yeah.
You know?
It's not like trans man who's pregnant. It's just more like a cis male is pregnant.
Yeah. If it was,
you have to kind of find this weird roundabout way of explaining it. It's like, what?
Yeah, because
the only
like
time I've ever seen that was an episode of Sliders, and they explained it where it was an alternate world where apparently humans had like some kind of like a seahorse gene in them or something like that.
You see that? I would have been fine.
Yeah,
that's the only time I've ever seen it.
You know, but that's like that's like a narrative thing.
Yeah,
the fetish is something else. You know, as in everything when you're dealing with fetish, it's something else.
Yeah, I can never really figure that out either.
Yeah, the MPreg thing is kind of fascinating to me because I'm constantly like, but
but why?
Yeah. You know, I can accept that this exists. I just want to know,
like, what's running through their heads.
Yeah, What
and
causes
anytime I
it?
see like artwork or something associated with it, it's kind of more like the nurturing, caretaking aspects. But I'm like, well, why is the man part that like?
Well, I'm always trying to like figure out how you're supposed to give birth. Does it come out the asshole?
Probably a cesarean or something.
Yeah, probably something like that. I'm just like, we're not really built for that.
Nope.
Well, whatever. Sexual fetish.
Sex is weird.
Sex is very weird. Sex is very weird. It's almost entire. It's not quite, but it's almost entirely like the world of the mind.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, the biology should probably also work, but more of it exists in the mind than I think people realize.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of fetishes that exist now, like would not have existed, another time period or something like that, or even something that is like specifically cultural. Like, for example, the blueberry fetish, which is derived from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Oh yes,
with Veruca Salt expanding to that. Inflating into that giant blueberry, that's a fetish on its own.
Actually, I thought Veruca Salt was the one who was thrown into the eggs.
Yeah, Veruca Salt is the one that gets thrown in the eggs.
Okay. Who was the girl?
I think her name was Violet Beauregard.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. That would make sense. Okay. But yeah, like that one's like very pop culture relative, and some fetishes are derived from like specifically involving, technology or something that exists now that probably wouldn't have previously.
Yeah.
And we're always creating new fetishes, which is kind of quite a marvel.
Yeah. It moves with us.
Yeah.
It develops.
And sometimes we adapt it from other cultures too, like the whole tentacle hentai fetish.
Yeah.
Which I have to admit, it's like, I've had those like, that might be interesting. Maybe not so much a little suction cups, but just having those writhing, long phalli type things. It's like, okay.
Well, I've always wanted a prehensile cock.
In fact, there was actually this thing, technology had put out some news about making this prehensile tentacle like for like a hand or something like that. And as soon as that came out, everybody was like, so when's the sex toy coming out? Because everything people saw was just like, oh, the possibilities with that.
Well, like, yeah. How to put it? Like, we love sex. We love procreation. Sometimes the actual,
and we like to come up with new and creative ways to do it.
We love orgasms.
Yep.
They're pretty.
Or sometimes being denied orgasms.
Well, or just going to that edge.
Yeah, edging.
What? Oh, okay. Yeah. Sorry, I'm dealing with weird things. One weird thing that I'm dealing with is that Venom movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Have you seen it?
Not yet, but
it's the best of times and the worst of times.
Okay.
Imagine one of the better superhero movies that you've ever seen crossbred with one of the worst movies you've ever seen. Yeah.
I'll have to watch that video.
Yeah. Like, well, it really comes down to this, which is, did you like Amazing Spider-Man?
That was a Sony one? Or?
Yeah, the Sony ones.
Yeah, it was all right. I liked them.
Okay. Everything that makes you say they were all right, i.e. all the things that were bad, the Venom movie has all of them.
All right.
Yeah. However, with that said, Tom Hardy is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. The character of the symbiote is really good. The problem is that near the end of the movie, they're just like, oh yeah, this is supposed to be a superhero movie. And I'm like, no, please don't. Don't have Venom save the world. It makes no sense.
No.
He can eat a crime syndicate, but like, don't have him saving the world. This makes no sense. And it doesn't make any sense. It's sort of like, well,
Although now just thinking back to Venom reminded me like some of the images people start putting out, and of course, because with kink and such, the people coming out, it's like, oh, hey, well, let's see what that tongue can do.
Well, yeah. Well, here, and the movie fucking leans into that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it does. Because at one point, the symbiote gets a hold of, like, Eddie Brock's fiance.
Oh, dear.
And it's straight up she-venom for, like, 3 minutes. And I'm just sitting there going, I'm not complaining, but I am genuinely surprised that you went in this direction, that you did this even for like these 3 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, and then it's never spoken of again. You know, but I'm sitting there going like, oh, okay. Odd. And the funny thing was, is I found myself going, you know, if you just wanted to make a movie where it was like Venom and She-Venom, you know, both of them, you know, one's a symbiote with a reporter, the other is a symbiote and I forget what she was supposed to be. I think she was a lawyer. I mean, that's how fucking important that shit is. The girlfriend, for the most part, is a sexy lamp.
Yeah.
You know, she's got sexy lamp problem. Until, I mean, but the funny thing is, she actually does intersect with the plot later on. But in the beginning of the movie, you're like, why is this even... When they go back and revisit the relationship to establish that they're still broken up, you're like, why are we doing that? I thought she was done in the movie. Oh, I guess she's coming back. Okay, so it's going to be one of those. So I was kind of hoping it would just be Venom and She-Venom for a bit. But no, they didn't do that. But I think that should be the sequel. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if it's going to be a sequel. It all depends on how it does on its second week. Because it made a huge amount of money on its first week. Second week, I don't know. I don't know if it's how that's going to work.
Interestingly enough, just remembered with superheroes is that when Deadpool first came out in that whole bit where people like,
oh my God,
Deadpool's into pegging. What?
I know, right?
And the part that kind of made me miffed when I found out about this, that there's several of these big porn companies have made like their Deadpool porn parody.
Yeah.
None of them have involved pegging at all. And I'm like,
wow.
You decide to ignore that.
Wow.
It's like, guys,
wow.
balls.
That's terrible.
Yeah. I'm like.
So basically, the Deadpool movie is more sex positive than the porn parody.
Right? Like, holy shit. But I mean, a lot of these big porn companies are pretty much their prime audience is pretty much the vanilla Joe Blow, you know, oh, anal stuff makes me gay sort of thing. So they're not going to put anything that's going to make them uncomfortable. But I'm just like, if Deadpool can take it in the ass, so can you. I mean, does that make him gay? Well, not quite, but...
a little. Maybe a little.
But you can enjoy anal play without necessarily meaning it's changing your sexuality. Well, and I'm just like, why didn't the porn companies take advantage of that?
Yeah. Oh, by the way, some people, all right. I have a theory.
What's that?
It is about sex work, but it is about the gender divide and sex work.
Go on.
So there aren't a lot of guys who do sex work.
Right.
You know, they exist, not a lot of them. Mm-hmm. And I wonder how much of that do you think is nature and how much do you think of that is nurture? Mm. Because, like, one of the problems I always have is I'm always like, the biggest complaint I always hear about guys in the sex industry is that they just don't deliver.
Yeah. I can understand that. I mean, there's even a gender pay disparity because, I mean, you always get these bunch of Joe Blows to be like, yeah, I want to be in porn and such. But when it comes to actually deliver, they chicken out, they flake, they, bust a nut within the first minute. Like, a lot of them are just not very talented. So.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you gotta have staying power. You gotta have a little bit of discipline. It really is its own skill.
Yeah, I mean, some of the male porn stars I ended up following and really liking are the ones who actually have a lot of personality to them. Like, one I watch is Tommy Pistol, and he is like...
Tommy Pistol, I'm not familiar with him.
Yeah. He's done a lot of porn parodies, including an Evil Dead porn parody. He played as Ash in that.
Oh, wait. I have seen that. I know who you're talking about. Wait, he's now in a movie called Vencom.
Yes. But that's the thing. He's great about this. Like, not only is he a porn star, but he's also very charismatic, and he's kind of a dork, so he's like very relatable, and people really love him for that.
He also seems to really like Night of the Demons.
Night of the what?
Night of the Demons. Actually, he seems to like horror movies in general. I'm on his Twitter page.
Oh yeah, he does. Like, he's
follow that guy. Why not?
He shall think. You should thank me later. But yeah, he's done a lot of like horror porn parodies and the like, and it's just hilarious. And he's one of the people I often come up in mind whenever I think of male porn stars, because he's not only because of the skills he has, but he's also very interesting and relatable to talk to and the like.
Yeah.
Whereas most guys are just a bunch of meatheads. It's just like, sure, I'd fuck you, but I wouldn't have a conversation with you. It'd be like, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Okay, move along.
Yeah. Hey, who says,
I'm such a lady, aren't I?
who says women fucking, who says women have to be deep? Sometimes it really is just like, that'd be fun. Okay, we're done now. No.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I'm
basically a man eater, honestly.
I have done that to guys I have dated. I turn into a chauvinist pig when I date dudes. It's fucking awful. It's awful. Like, because I just remember being at this fucking one restaurant and talking to a guy, and then you get that look, you get that feeling. It's just sort of like, You start reading the wine list. Yeah. So
apparently, Haunting of Hill House goes live at midnight.
Whoa! The remake of Haunting of Hill House goes live at midnight. Okay. All right. So in 2 hours, I have a decision to make. Because I really love the Haunting of Hill House. And I've seen every version of it. And so far, there is one good version. And that is the black and white movie.
Yep.
That one's great.
But anyway, you're going back to that one with basically the bonehead you were dating.
Oh yeah, really cute guy. Wouldn't shut up. I didn't care about anything he was telling me about. And there was definitely a moment where I start making out with him, and he tries to continue the conversation. I'm just like,
just enjoy the moment. Just
no. There's a reason I put something in your mouth. Shut up. Yeah.
Whereas me, I'm just like a cock craving like man eater sometimes. Like, is that it?
That's it. Oh God. Yeah.
Give me another cock over here. I'm so hungry.
Man,
I can destroy some guys' egos with that too. Like I felt really bad because I've been feeling really bad. I felt really bad like in my 30s because I had gotten it down to like 3 minutes. And I was like, I used to be able to last like an hour. Now I'm just sort of like, no, quick, let's just get it done. And I'm like, why am I? Did you reach a point where it becomes a lot of work? Yeah.
And
to be honest, like I said, I've done the pegging, so I totally understand the physical exertion that is involved in thrusting.
It's more than you expect, If you haven't done it, it's more than you expect,
Mm-hmm.
But now that's why most people start, young because you got all the energy in the world when you're a teenager. You know, for me as a teenager, I prided myself on. I was like, all right, nothing can be under 20 minutes. So if I need to come multiple times, I'm just going to do it. And as a guy, that's extremely hard.
Yeah.
You know, that's very difficult. And I didn't appreciate how difficult it was because I would just power through. And probably the worst.
Just moving back a bit.
Probably the worst thing that could have happened to me was fucking being in a long-term relationship with a woman who, hey babe, with a woman who preferred it hard and fast. I'm just ruined now. I'm just ruined now. You know, because before it was like, yeah, half hour, why not? Now it's like, oh man, we're coming up on minute 5. It's like going to the gym. You know, it's like going to the gym. Like, oh man, I used to be able to bench. Like, what?
But that's why you got toys and other things like that. So if you still want more, you can.
Oh yeah. No, I know, absolutely. It's just one of those things where I'm like, God damn it. God damn it. You know, like, on the one hand, it is kind of nice to not be on edge all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's going to be one of the great ironies of being male. Like, as soon as your urge begins to decrease, that's when your opportunities open up.
Yeah.
You know, like there's a great cosmic joke, you know, in the world of heterosexual coupling.
Yeah, I can kind of see it saying with a lot of women having that disparity of the amount of orgasms they have. And it's like, by the time it's getting all warmed up, the guy's like, and just like,
yeah.
But that's why you have Itachis. Those are fun.
Yes. And I'm still the proudest moment. One of the proudest moments I had was, well, one of my exes had like an orgasms per minute rating. It couldn't have been per minute, but it was like, you know, per
how
10
many
minutes.
she can get
How many she could have in a given period of time. And I was apparently at the top of the list. I was like, yes, number 1. And she told me that after we had like long broken up. So it was like, I was like, yes, now that you've broken up with me, you do not have to pad my ego. I can take this for what it is. Who's at the bottom? Oh, haha.
Or it's like, I ruined it for all the men in the future. Ha
ha! Yeah. No.
Although, to be honest, I've had that great moments too, where it's just like, step aside, gentlemen, let me show you how it's done.
Yeah, show you how it's done, yeah. Oh my God.
Especially when it's their girlfriends and they're just like, you're welcome.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I just like enjoy destroying your egos like that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's also kind of fun when like you get into like those weird contests with people. Like, now the confrontation is never fun because it's usually fucking anger inducing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's usually enraging. But
yeah.
So say you're in a conversation with someone's current who used to be your ex, and this was not a planned encounter. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden you sit down in the Chinese restaurant eating with this dude. You would rather not, but apparently he thinks this is a good time to get in a dick measuring contest with you. So you eating your chow mein. Actually, I think it was shrimp fried rice. And guy starts talking, And you're like, oh my God, I do not want to get in a dick measuring contest while I'm fucking eating dinner. Like, I do not want to do this. And then all of a sudden you just like, so he starts talking about like their sex life, and you go like, okay, so you've done that thing where you tickle her navel as you tell her a joke, right? She's coming, right? And he's like, what? And I'm like, oh, I'll take that as a no. Please leave.
Wow, what a one-up.
Yeah, please leave me alone. I'm eating shrimp fried rice. I happen to like it. You know, and I don't need loser sauce on it. Get the fuck away from me. You know, like, it was really weird because I had no problem with that guy up until then.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, we just go randomly get, she's not even here. You know, like, it's just us. We just happen to be in the same restaurant, you fucking douchebag. You know, like, God.
What are you trying to get from this?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. It's like, and I just found myself going like, this guy's got to be psychotic.
Or incredibly insecure, take your pick.
Well,
there you go.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, I would imagine just being really insecure. I would assume that if he was just super insecure, he would have just come up, like, maybe spit on me and ran or something. But, like, no, we go through this whole, like, ritual. And I'm just sitting there going, I really don't want to do this, but I kind of got to know where this goes. Like, I kind of got to know how this is going to play out.
Yeah.
I don't get it. You know? Because when girls complain about the white knight shit,
Mm-hmm.
I get it. Why?
Yeah.
I've done it. Is it a good look? No. No, until you actually are like fucking Lancelot, it doesn't fucking work. You know, there is a very, very, very tight margin of error that you are allowed there.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta be good for it, you know, and most young guys are not, because it's a tough call. It's a heavy load.
Yeah.
You know, it's a lot to ask. But when you're a young guy, you feel like that's what you're supposed to be doing. So you try. And it turns out you suck at it.
Yeah.
You know, so you can either continue to suck at it or stop.
Again, it's that thing with that skinny white guy trying to take on the big brawny Asian dude at the nightclub you were talking about.
I know. It's like, no,
not
dude,
knowing when to stop.
Yeah, it's you can't beat this guy. This guy will fucking annihilate you. You know, yeah. It's like, don't punch that guy. He's a wrestler. You know, are you a wrestler? No, then don't punch him. You know, are you into super physical? It's like, well, I'm a football player. That doesn't matter. That guy's a boxer.
Yeah.
Don't. That guy's a trained fucking killer. Don't do it. You know, oh my God, although I gotta say, that's like, man, the videos I would have if these had been around when I was like 20. Holy shit. Hilarity. Nothing is hilarious like watching some frat schmuck dickhead get his ass beaten. It's like, no, dude, I don't care if you play football. That guy's gonna fucking annihilate you. No, he's not. Watch this. Woo! Oh, I watched it. I don't think that's where you wanted it to go, but I watched it.
And I'm gonna sit back and have some tea while doing so.
Yeah. Yeah, I love, and that was one of those times where it was sort of like, let's watch the frat boy in an environment he fantasizes himself the master of, but is in fact lowest on the totem pole. And that is the Bondage Club. Oh my fucking God.
Could you just imagine Jacques Cousteau narrating that kind of deal?
Well, like, the funny thing is they do kind of like school.
Yeah.
You know, like they do kind of come in a group and they school. And
birds of a feather flock together.
Yeah.
In this case.
And they're really afraid of. Usually, what happens when a group of people like hit the club is that they hit the club, and then throughout the night they're breaking off and coming together, breaking off and coming together. You know, because you're moving around the club. Pretty simple. Frat boys always move as like this kind of group,
like a wolf pack or something.
Yeah, like a wolf pack or like a fish school. It's a little bit more like a. Yeah, it's a little bit more like a fish school because like wolf packs don't generally act as fucking weird and paranoid. You know, they generally act like they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
But these guys kind of don't. It's like
they're just following what's in front of them.
Yeah, and they move as a group, so it's like ugh. It's like I hope you're not rolling up on people like that. That's the answer is gonna be no. Even if the girl's into gangbanging, the answer's gonna be no.
It's gonna be no.
You know, like good God. Yeah, but like, yeah, man, that was weird. That was just it's just so weird to watch that every time. And I was like, and I was in a strip club once where a similar incident happened. I'm like, I was like, really? This is just so. This is just
if you guys are be sticking around each other so much, like, why don't you just go bang each other? Like,
yeah. It's like you seem really gay for each other. Why don't you just, handle that? Why don't you just take care of that? And oh my God, yeah, it's just so bizarre. It's one of those things where like I think that's one of the other reasons why people get upset at the idea of like whores having power, because like the frat mentality gets you absolutely nowhere.
Nope.
It gets you absolutely nowhere with it in these environments. Because no, they will, how to put it?
We don't take your bullshit.
Yeah, they'll get you down to the bare emotions, which is not where the frat boy thrives well.
They'll get eaten alive.
Oh, they go. They have.
Yeah. Not in a fun way that they think of.
Yeah, I remember talking to this one friend who was talking. Was like, yeah, took a frat boy as a gay friend. Took a frat boy home the other day, and I'm like, did he cry? And he's like, he did cry. And I'm like, yeah.
Oh, Jack, did you ever read John Waters' book, Role Models?
No.
Yeah, what you were just saying about frat boys made me think of something very similar. There was this guy he talked about in his book. I forget the guy's actual name, but he would actually take Marines home from the nearby Marine base and actually film them fucking him. And they weren't gay. They were just like, they just got into it. It's like, yeah, I'm on top, so just go.
Yeah, you know, if you're a Marine, if you're on top, it ain't gay. It's gay.
Yeah.
It's gay. Well, it's like that was
totally gay.
That was the whole thing with that whole like our trap's gay meme, and I'm like, yes, I hope so, because I'm a dude, and I kind of like to stick my penis in that.
And some boys look really good in dresses.
Oh, they do. Ooh, they do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, they do. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hi, how are you? I went somewhere for a little bit. Sorry, I'm back now.
Oh, I knew this was going to happen as soon as like this conversation comes up. It's going to be like, let's bring up some more too much information type stuff to bring on air. You're welcome.
Yeah, it's really weird. Like, with me, I got this really weird thing, which is I'm not into really thin girls. Like, I like the shapely, curvier girls. But
Voluptuous.
Yeah, the voluptuous women. But I do like boys that look like skinny girls. Don't know what that is. I don't know if there's a specific thing for that. But if there is, I've got it. And yeah, but yeah, so when the whole our trap's gay thing happened, I was trying to figure out what a trap meant.
Yeah.
I was like hunter trap? like World of Warcraft? Like, what are we talking about? What the fuck is a trap? And they're like a transvestite. And I'm like, oh, well, yeah, a little. That's probably actually more than a little gay.
Yeah.
You know, if you're a guy that dresses up like a girl, that's probably more than a little gay. You know, it's like, but how do you know? And I'm like, well, I've never known a guy who put on a dress that didn't take it up the ass. You know, maybe they exist, maybe, but I think that that's a heterosexual fantasy that they do.
Yeah.
You know, because I've certainly never run into anyone who did that, who was like that.
No.
You know, and sometimes people would mention RuPaul, and I'd be like, "Oh, honey,
No.
oh, sweetie,
No.
you believe anything." Oh, by the way, I just need $1,000, you know, and I'll pay you right back. You know, just my money's just like fucking locked up in a Nigerian bank. That's all, you know.
Yeah, the Nigerian bank under the Brooklyn Bridge.
Under the Brooklyn Bridge, yeah, exactly. You know. By the way, I'm Napoleon, and and I can guarantee you will gain 4 inches on your penis just by lending me the money. You know, so yeah.
So happy good times for all.
Happy good times for all. So I didn't realize that had become a meme. That was like a meme, and until like much later, because I was just like, what is this question? What are people talking about? And people are like, that's offensive. And I'm like, I don't even know it can't be offensive to me because I don't understand what's being communicated.
Yeah.
You know, and then someone did, and I'm like, oh, huh. And then I was like, okay, so slur against trans people, kind of, you know, but then it started being like a fetish search term.
Yeah.
And then I was like, hey, there's a name for this now. You know, put that in the search engine. And occasionally people still get mad at me for saying that, where I'm like, one thing about our Trap's Gay meme is that it now gives me a word that I can search for when I'm on Pornhub, and it has helped me out immensely. And occasionally you would see like, you ever troll dating apps?
Not quite.
Okay. I've done that a few times. You know, not like made like a real account under my name with the intent of hooking up with people, because that I wasn't interested in. What I really wanted to do was read other people's profiles.
Of course, it's all the fun of it.
Yeah. I wanted to see what people were willing to put up. And so one of the ones that I found had a very, very interesting description, which was not rigid, but genderqueer probably won't do. You have to be like super trap levels. And this was a woman.
Okay.
This was a woman who said this. You know? And I'm like, why? And she was like, well, because I have a male partner and we're looking for someone to be in a threesome with. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm like, so why do you need the super trap? And she's like, well, because I need a matching set. And I'm like, now I'm sad that I can't, because who are you? Now I want to know who you are. You know?
Like, you two look like fun.
Yeah, this looks interesting. Like, you know, obviously we're not having sex, but with that said, we weren't going to anyway, so I just want to know who you are. You know? And then I was trying to figure out, how can I make that? It's like, no, it's not worth it. Don't. It's bad. You know? And it is weird because, like, people's profiles are really fucking interesting. And one thing I will say on these dating apps, guys, your chances are really bad. They're bad. They're not good. You know, you have about as much chance with a dating app as like almost anything else. You know, really. You know, whatever they say their algorithm is, fuck that. No. You know, you're
vastly out. Or there's very, very little women as opposed to like the number of men on there. So
yes.
And even then, those women might also be men in those profiles. Kind of like
there's a distinct possibility there.
Oh, there's there's a lot of that, and it's it is what it is, you know.
Yep.
But minimum effort. You'd be. I was shocked at how many people did not put in minimum effort. Guys, you can't just get on a dating app, take a shirtless picture, and call it a day. No.
Oh, the amount of time people come in on FetLife and send me a message, hey, what's up? Or, hey, you're looking good. And they have like a cock as their profile picture.
I know, right? Yeah. Done.
Go away.
Don't use the dick pic. It's not a good look.
And to be honest, practically all of them are like straight men.
Well, yeah.
It's like,
you're barking up the wrong tree, man.
Yeah, it's like,
am
I supposed to be impressed by your cock? I mean, if I want something big, I'll go buy it. Like,
yeah.
I want to see if the person attached to the cock is interesting. But if you're just going to show me your dick, I'm like, well, you don't have anything else interesting to offer. So, bye.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, man. I wonder if, hang on a moment, let me double check something. Come on. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, man. Okay, I think I'm going to refill my drink real quick. You guys could be okay for a minute or two?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I'd be good with that.
All right. Excellent.
How's the slut pit going on?
Looks like they're doing okay.
Sorry. GA Templar is like, I'm mostly attracted to men and transgender men and women on OkCupid. Unless the dick is the dick judge from Pink Floyd's The Wall. No, he's not a dick judge. He's an ass judge. He's an ass. You know, that's why he says fills me with the urge to defecate, because his mouth is the fucking asshole. Because the judge is spewing shit.
Yep.
You know? I know that movie. Hey, One True Blacksmith, what's up? The Script Queen says that she recently signed up to a dating app. Slow going. Well, okay. I could tell you what that is. but that's only because I know you. It's because you're black.
Oh, jeez.
Go grab
White
your drink.
blonde girls get everyone on dating apps. That's just the way it is.
Mm.
I don't know why.
Unless you're specifically being chasing after a particular type.
Unless what?
Unless they're chasing a particular type.
Yeah. But I
prefer redhead
imagine
myself,
like
but that's
where she lives, because I know roughly where she lives. That's gonna be an issue. She's like she's in like the middle of the country.
Ah.
Yeah, like she's out here in like if she's out here in like California, she'd be beating dudes off with a stick, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I shall return.
So how you doing?
Not too bad actually. This has actually been the longest I've been on a podcast, so I'm just like, oh, well, it's not too bad.
Gotcha. So I came in the middle of this. I didn't catch your name.
Monstress Savage. That's my dominant name. So, and pretty much, I've known Jack for like last few years. Been watching each other on and off, and then I was like, "Hey, why do we do this kind of podcast involving like kink and horror? Because there's like a lot of overlap between the two." And here I am. So,
Cool.
yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, not much to say about that. I just got on here.
No. That's not a problem. If anything, my brain just like.
Understandable.
Yeah, I'm gonna go take a look, see what Slipkins doing. So.
All right. Yeah. No, I just got on because I wanted to tell Jack something.
Okay.
Yeah, I recently got an article published in my local paper, so
That's awesome.
I think so. Trying to pursue that as a career. So
That's pretty awesome. What was that article about?
basically, there was a political event review going on at my local library. The candidates for both local office as well as federal office were there. Well, most of them were there. And I decided to take the opportunity, go down there, get some notes, get some quotes, wrote up the story. That night, I submitted the story to the local paper or website in this case, and then they published it that morning.
Cool.
Yeah. So they're going to pay me, and they said they might have some
Even
more work.
better.
Exactly. And they said they might have some more work for me in the future.
Awesome.
Yep.
That's great.
And so I'm looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's better when you can do things you love and get paid for it.
Exactly.
And in my case, it's stomping on some men's nuts and making them feel like tearing them down.
Hey, if that's what they go for. Hey, if that's what they go for. When it comes to me and that sort of thing, my motto has always been, hey, there's nothing wrong with a little light bondage.
Or a little heavy bondage. I mean, depending,
Yeah,
mileage may vary. So
yeah, however you want to do it. Hey, I've been known to engage in some blindfold play myself, so I can't front.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, there's no right way to do it. Even if you just want something, a little on the side, or you just want to go all in 24/7. So I'm not going to be too much of a judge on that.
Fair enough.
And besides, vanilla, as I put it, is kind of a nice palate cleanser. Sometimes you don't always want to have everything heavy all the time. So,
fair enough.
Yes.
So, what does your shirt say there? A woman like what?
A woman like Satan.
Okay. I thought that's what it said. I just couldn't tell.
Yeah, I thought Jack might appreciate that. So,
I think the entire slut pit appreciates that one.
Yes, very much. So.
So there's really that. I mean, I knew about that sex robot brothel up in Canada. So that was out in Vancouver.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're actually trying to open one down here in the States, but I think it got blocked by legislation.
Not surprised.
No, I'm not either, sadly.
What are we not surprised at?
No, go ahead.
Go for it. Oh, he was just talking about the sex brothel or sex doll brothel in the States being Canceled or blocked by legislation.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Jack, I wanted to tell you something before I went.
Sure.
I actually got did you read the note that was with my donation?
Yeah, you told me that you sold a story.
Yeah, I sold an article to my local paper, and I'm going to get paid for it.
Oh, cool. What was it about?
Basically, there was a political review being held by the NAACP down at the local library. So I figured I'd go down there, get some notes, take some quotes, get some interviews from some of the candidates down there. So got all that, wrote it up that night, sent it in via email. And the next day while I'm at work, they email me back, say, hey, this is pretty good. If you want to, we'll pay you for it, $30, and we might have some more work for you in the future.
Cool.
Yeah, exactly.
That sounds awesome.
Too. So,
Yeah.
especially for writing jobs, it's practically people write for pennies nowadays. So the fact you got paid, that's great.
Yeah,
definitely,
very good.
Yeah. So, and like I said, they might have some more. They should have some more work for me in the future. So I think this is something that can get me out of retail eventually.
Yay!
So.
Yeah, that's good. What
you got to start somewhere. So.
Exactly, and the fact that the somewhere I'm starting is getting me paid is all the better.
Even better.
Yeah. Okay, folks. I'm going to take my leave. It's like 1:30 out here on the East Coast, and I need to go to sleep. So,
all right. Talk to you later.
Yeah.
Talk to you later, Rick.
Yeah, definitely. Have a good one. You too, Monstress.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
I did, Monstress. I did want to ask you a question.
Sure. What's that?
All right. Speaking, because we were going to be we're talking about horror and eroticism earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Hottest scene in a horror movie for you?
Sorry?
Hottest scene in a horror movie for you?
As in, like, how I am a dominant in a scene, or am I, like...
No, sorry. Wrong kind of scene.
Yeah.
In a movie scene. In a movie.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, so was there any scenes that I found that I really enjoyed?
Yes.
Basically, because of it. Strangely enough, I think Francis Ford Coppola's Jackula one. The one where he was a werewolf and he was ravaging that woman. I was like, I didn't think I was going to be into that, but I liked it.
Yeah. Dracula having sex with Lucy in that fucking, garden.
Werewolf form?
Yeah. He's like in Wolfman form.
Like,
damn. Damn.
So yeah, there's that one. The beginning sequence in My Bloody Valentine, which is like, oh, that's very nice. Yes. But yeah, let's see if there's any other ones. I think one of the Nightmare on Elm Street ones, I think it was there one of the movies in which Freddy had like torn up a woman's shirt or something like that with his claws?
Yeah, he does that a lot, actually.
Yeah. In fact, I don't have them here, but I actually do have like these long metal claws things that I would put on my fingers, and it's so much fun because I always love kind of like being able to play up that.
Oh my god! I actually know a guy who makes really good Freddy gloves.
Oh, hit me up because I do want something that kind of a bit longer. It kind of looks more like that.
Yeah. They go from between like 80 and 150. Would that be in your price range?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, great. I'll get his information pass along.
Yeah, but again, like with Freddy, it's kind of similar to the knife play thing. It's that kind of like it's dangerous, but also when it kind of glides along skin, it still feels kind of good. So it's like
you can like how to put it. if you need him to sharpen the blade, he can do that for you.
Sweet.
You know, that's not an issue.
Excellent. What about you? Has there been any scenes that you're like, damn? I mean, you did reveal some like the boxing Helena and such, but was there any other ones that?
Well, one of the others was Shinasashi and Nightbreed.
Oh, yeah, I can see that.
There was something about that.
Her presence, some sort of allure to her. You're just like,
yeah, and you're sitting there like she's covered in quills. I find my brain is going, I'll find a way. You know, like,
yeah, it's
I'll find a way.
Painful, but like, I'll find a way to that.
Yeah. I mean, she's fucking that other dude, so there's gotta be, it's gotta be possible.
There was a couple other ones I just remembered. There's one, oh fuck, what was it? I think it was just one of the, I remember you were talking about a particular director who did like a lot of vampire films, and he had this girlfriend in a lot of them. Just Franco?
Jesus Franco, yeah.
Yes. I always liked how in some of his movies it depicted like women who are like, there's a very ethereal look to them. Like you could see them, they're wearing these long mesh gowns, but they're very much naked underneath, and you just see that silhouette and just, ooh, that's nice. Yeah.
Well, the one that he did that most people like remember the title of is Vampiros Lesbos, which is basically it's a lesbian vampire love story, and it's not, how to put it.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of his better made films.
Yeah,
as in there's a narrative through line. It uses dream logic as opposed to look, we're just stringing a bunch of scenes together. You know, because as much as I love Jesus Franco, there are a lot of his movies which are just like plot. We don't need that shit. Look,
we got tits.
Look. She's a vampire. She's just gonna suck a banana off for 10 minutes, okay? And you're just sitting
that's
there,
all you guys need.
That's all, yeah. And well, like, see that to me was everyone usually who's a Jesus Franco fan usually gets really into Soledad Miranda because like she's the one that's in all of his famous films.
Yeah,
but the girl that was usually his leading lady after she died. She was the one that I really was interested in because she turned sucking off anything into an art form.
Nice.
Yeah, like every great picture of her has something in her mouth. And you know, there was just something about her where you're just looking at her and you're like, I believe that paradise is between those lips. I believe it.
Oddly enough, I just remembered another vampirist kind of character was like any sort of vampire that Ingrid Pitt had played in, like in a lot of the Hammer horror films.
Oh yeah,
she's gorgeous. Like
which one? Ingrid
Pitt.
I have to. Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh yes. I
would definitely say that lesbian vampires or at least vampire women itself is like, because when I was still in a closet, I didn't really have too many venues of really looking at women, but like in horror films, because there's a lot of nudity or at least voluptuous shapes in display, it's like I could actually kind of enjoy looking at beautiful women without having people look at me weird.
Yes. So
I kind of like have a soft spot for vampire women in that case, because it's just kind of like that early teen sexuality, just figuring myself out and just like, damn, I like those curvy ladies.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know who Ingrid Pitt is, because I had trouble remembering because I'm an asshole. All right, if it's blonde, a vampire, and basically it doesn't have a neckline, it has a navel line, that's her. Like, that's fucking her. Like, bra, we don't need that. That's just extra lines. We don't need that here. Well, actually,
exactly.
The funny. Oh God, what was it? My favorite. The funny thing is that the movies where I really, really, really noticed women when I was young, for some reason, they were all werewolf movies. You know, like Howling 2, Hammer Horrors, The Wolfman, and like I don't know, it's Rex Reed as the Wolfman.
Mm-hmm.
You know, or actually Rex Reed. No, Oliver Reed. Sorry, Oliver Reed, not Rex Reed. Oliver Reed. He did whatever. their adaptation of the Wolfman is kind of bad. It's not good. It's not. It doesn't generally make its way into the collections for reasons, for good reasons. But the sad thing is, it also has some of the best boobs.
Of course.
Yeah, because
there's something about those boobs, especially in the 60s and 70s. I don't know, just maybe it wasn't because of, wearing an old bra thing, but just their boobs look amazing.
I know. And this one is like, I don't know why, but like apparently, and this is when I started noticing this trend. Like Spanish-blooded girls apparently are stereotyped as having much larger boobs. And this thing's set in Spain. And this one has got so many deep cleavage shots in center frame. Like, they're not even... You know why you're here to watch this movie. It ain't the Wolfman. No.
It's for the titties.
It's for these boobs. And they're like 6 sets of particularly spectacular... Sorry, 3 sets. So 6 in total. 3 pairs of particularly spectacular ones in this movie. Now, let me see. What? I know these actresses are all like actually British, and they're just like darkened. They're like in tan face. It gets really fucking obvious. Well, that was an annoying way to end that. So, all right. I think we're gonna have to do is I think we're probably gonna have to like chill it out here for the night. I had a really lovely time. I know, Rise the discussion of boobs is getting good. Well, I think we're gonna call it for tonight because, like, I sit here going, like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Like, my computer's just gonna keep crashing. Then we got to. It just fucking crashed. Whole machine crashed. I don't know what the fuck it was. Like, I got nothing. I'm just gonna like run a bunch of diagnostics and. I'm going to run some diagnostics and hopefully we'll be good for Sunday. I know, right? Fuck. But, and we're still dropping frames. You gotta be fucking shitting me. Why are we dropping frames? It's been like 5 minutes. It's been less than 2 minutes. Like, what the fuck? How? What? Why? All right. And interesting enough, I just got a message from someone who actually seems interesting. So see how that goes. Oh, we'll go for it. Yeah. It might be Windows updates. Not like one of them didn't just happen.
No, I searched on Twitter. There's a couple people who are having trouble with the new Steam update or
Streamlabs
update.
Oh, okay. So this thing's being like a motherfucker.
Yeah. They'll probably fix it soon, but for now.
All right. In that case, I'll set up regular OBS for next time, just in case. Because we can't be having this. This is no good. Yeah. All right. So, till next time, boys and girls, Ave Satanas, Disco Inferno, keep watching fucked up movies, and I will see you on Sunday at 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and hopefully, we'll have a very special guest with us, hopefully. All right, good night, everybody. Of course, I want to thank Miss Savage Monstress Savage for being with us. I had a great time. And hopefully she'll be willing to do this again. I'll talk to y'all later.